National champion!
I'm Chief Shepard from Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello, everybody back home, and go Heels all the way.
Now with the Saints, the marching in. When the Saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number. Yes, when the Saints go marching in.
The Tar Heels make their 7th appearance in the NCAA championship game, and the opponent is Steve Fisher's Michigan Wolverines.
Carolina is a team that you can't say, well, stop Montross and you'll stop Carolina, or stop Phelps and you'll stop Carolina.
Likewise, there is much more to Michigan than simply a band of run-and-gun athletes.
Michigan's an underrated defensive team. They're a little bit like Virginia with more better athletes. They let you handle the ball outside, but it's hard to go inside.
And so for the national championship, it's Carolina and Michigan coming up next.
Hark the sound of Tar Heel voices.
This is only the 5th game between Carolina and Michigan and their 4th NCAA confrontation.
C-A-R-O-L-I-N-A. Let's go.
Along with Woody Durham, this is Mick Mixon, and our championship game coverage begins with the ACC today. Tonight, we'll interview the head coaches, Dean Smith and Steve Fisher. You'll hear from George Lynch, Derek Phelps, Jalen Rose, and Chris Rever, plus Larry Miller, John Swafford, and Paul Harden, and former Tar Heel assistant coach and the new man at South Carolina, Eddie Fogler.
Hark the sound of Tar Heel voices. The NCAA tournament is on the air.
And we'll return live to the Louisiana Superdome in 1 minute with Carolina, Michigan basketball and the ACC today. Tonight from New Orleans, Louisiana, basketball heavyweights Carolina and Michigan will play for the national championship. The importance of this game is so vast and the tension is so great that it's hard to believe that soon the 1993 season, after weeks of building momentum and drama, is about to reach top speed and then suddenly slam on the brakes. For the 64 teams who make the NCAA tournament field, the dream of winning it all does not end slowly or with warning. And the closer you get to the title, the longer it takes shattered hopes to heal. So into this Superdome pressure cooker come the only 2 ball clubs left standing, the brash Michigan Wolverines and the equally confident Tar Heels, both anticipating the joy of absolute victory. And along with Woody Durham and our entire Tar Heel Sports Network crew, this is Mick Mixon on the air with the last game of the season, the national championship. And Woody, here are the Tar Heels. Dean Smith coaches them, and this ball club is within 1 win of the mountaintop. Carolina comes into this championship game tonight, Mick, on a 5-game winning streak. And having lost just once over the last 2 months, Carolina at 33-4 has already won more basketball games this season than any Tar Heel team ever before. But for it to really be remembered as it should by everybody for the season it has truly been, 1 more win is needed. And it'll have to be against a Michigan team which has won 12 straight and at 31-4 earned more victories this year than any other Wolverine team. Mick, there are no Cinderellas at this dance tonight underneath the big roof known as the Louisiana Superdome. Both of these have been and are legitimate wearers of the crown if it fits. Michigan almost had it last year. We'll talk about any advantage that being in this game just a year ago might have for the Wolverines later in our pregame show. But at the top of the pregame to-do list tonight, Woody, is the updated condition of the Tar Heels' priceless point guard Derek Phelps, who on Saturday added a bruised hip to his long list of injuries. He will play tonight, but he's 1 hard fall away from the Tar Heels being in deep trouble. However, I don't think we'll see him hold up a bit tonight, Mick. Remember when he came back in that first-round game against East Carolina and Winston-Salem a couple of weeks ago? Yep. Coming off that severely bruised tailbone. He'd been in the game less than 2 minutes, and what does he do? He stands right in the lane underneath the bucket and takes a charge. So there is no letting up in Derek Phelps's makeup, and he will be on the floor tonight and giving it everything he has got. He's had ice on that bruised hip, and he's ready to go. And Derek knows that he can rest plenty in late April, May, and June. But for right now, there's some business at hand at the Superdome. Well, Michigan's personality as a team, Woody, differs greatly, obviously, from Carolina's. But from a purely basketball standpoint, the teams are a lot alike. They're both inside-oriented. They're both big and strong and quick, and both are outstanding defensive teams.
Well, you look at them first from an offensive standpoint. Carolina shoots a little better than 50% from the field. Michigan is right at 50%. Carolina's 37% from three-point. Michigan 35%. The Tar Heels have the edge at the foul line, Mick. Could be a factor in the game tonight. 70%, while Michigan, if there is one chink in the armor, it's at the free throw line where the Wolverines shoot only 65%. Michigan has nearly a +8 rebound advantage over its opposition. Carolina +9. Boy, they'll really be going to the glass tonight at both ends of the floor. That's going to be a key. Which team can get the rebounding advantage? But defensively, you talked about Carolina limiting the opposition on the year to only 41% shooting. Michigan 41%. And Mick, thus far in 5 NCAA tournament games, opponents have shot better, no better than 38% against Steve Fisher's club. They put a blanket on Kentucky's perimeter game on Saturday night.
Well, they sure did. Michigan's about as good as they need to be. And in this game here tonight, no doubt about it, the scrapping that will go on for loose balls, both below the level of the rim and above, will be something to behold. Well, we've got reporters spread out all over the place, including Carmichael Auditorium, where dozens times dozens of Tar Heel fans, thousands of them, will watch and listen to the national championship game tonight in Carmichael. Mike Waddell is up in the rafters with a report. Michael, what's it like in Carmichael right now?
Hey, Woody, going for you. They love the Woodman here in Carmichael. It was the home of the Tar Heels the last time they won the national championship back in 1982, and about 5,000 fans from states as far away as West Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama have driven to Carmichael Auditorium tonight to watch the game on a big screen TV. They're expecting a lot more people to come in. They're still coming in the portals to my left and right. All of the permanent bleachers are filled in except for the sections to the sides, both to the left and the right, where it would be impossible to see the screen. So the crowd is ready. We hope everybody down in New Orleans is ready. And they wanted to give Woody that special send-off as he goes off to do another championship broadcast. Mick?
Mike, tell the crowd I thank them very much, but don't yell it unless you believe it. And every once in a while, somebody might want to run down and just tap that floor. There's a lot of history there in that building, as everybody knows. It's on that playing floor where the likes of Worthy and Jordan and Perkins ran up and down the floor on their way to a national championship. And as we say so often, Mick, during the broadcast, go where you have to go and do what you have to do.
And reach down for whatever it is you reach down for. I'm a firm believer in the power of positive thinking, and if all the Tar Heel fans around the state and around the nation are all pulling hard together, I think good things will happen in here tonight.
A couple of little things, if I can insert them very quickly. I know Coach Smith says this is kind of ridiculous, but he has certain things that he does, and believe me, I don't do these because I'm superstitious. They just put me in my comfort zone. I've got on my second game suit for the third week in a row. It has a purple tie with some blue in it and a purple handkerchief in the pocket. How was I to know when I got to New Orleans that the media pass tonight was going to be purple for this weekend? And as we were coming over to the arena tonight, Linda Woods, Coach Smith's secretary, coming to handle the tickets for the players' parents and so forth, informed me that the color of tonight's game ticket is Carolina blue.
How about that? You have had that thing dry cleaned, though, since that regional final, haven't you?
You bet I have.
All right, that sounds good. It's all we're all pressed and starched and ready to go here tonight in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now let's talk a little bit more basketball with you. These same Michigan Wolverines played in this championship game, Woody, last year. They lost in the finals, and I think that's an advantage they have. The experience of being in the national final, plus the motivation of not wanting to feel the way they felt on the way back to the Chrysler Arena after that disappointment.
Mick, I think it is an advantage having been here before, but you know what? I think it can also be a disadvantage because I think now Michigan, the players admit that they haven't even watched that 20-point loss to Duke last year, 71-51, and sometimes you can be back in this situation, ask Guy Lewis's Houston Cougars, for example, and maybe you try too hard. Maybe you win a game that's highly profiled like Saturday night's Kentucky game was, and maybe you think you're there again. I'm not sure that'll happen to Michigan, but the Wolverines could indeed try too hard tonight.
They're wildly confident, and if they get down, if they get behind, sometimes they fragment as a team. We'll see what happens. And games like this, too, represent ultimate challenges for teams who must both relax and play with intensity, all with their hearts racing and their heads spinning with nervous energy.
You know, if preparation wins a game, and this is not to say that the Michigan coaching staff and the Michigan players will not be well prepared, but if preparation wins a game. Those hours upon hours of watching tape, particularly since Saturday night, just watching Michigan, will have the Tar Heels ready tonight. The question will be, can Coach Smith translate what he knows about Michigan to the team, and then can the team execute? That's right, and the Tar Heels got a game plan decision to make. Do they want to push the ball, or do they want a half-court game? Michigan, as we said earlier, will play just about any type of game you want. They'll beat you at your game, or they'll beat you at their game. Well, should be exciting, so you stay tuned. We'll have Tar Heels George Lynch, Derek Phelps, Henrik Rodel, and Eric Montross when we come back with the national championship version of the ACC Today. From the Superdome in New Orleans, it is Tar Heel Sports Network coverage of a national championship. Carolina against Michigan for the NCAA basketball crown. There's a place on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill called the Four Corners Restaurant, and well, we got Scott Jagow, who's going to be reporting from up there, and we'll get to him in just a couple of minutes. Despite all you may have heard and read about Michigan's bad boy trash-talking image, George Lynch says there's not much of a difference between the Michigan players and the Tar Heel players.
You know, guys probably don't like Michigan because they wear black sneakers, and you don't see their socks. They're not 3 inches above the shoe line, and they wear the big baggy shorts. You know, most guys I know, we would love to, you know, wear black sneakers and wear our socks. Derek and Donald wear their socks below their ankles. So I think it's the image of the team. You know, by Michigan coming, a lot of the players coming out of the Detroit area, you know, they get a lot of flack about that. But you know, they're a good team, and you know, you look at it, you go through the parks today, every kid on the basketball court is wearing the big baggy shorts. It's just a matter of, you know, Carolina has always had the, you know, the image of the good boys and things like that. But, you know, we can get just as dirty as Michigan can and any other team in the country. So it's just a matter of what the image that they have coming, you know, out of high school in the area they come from.
Lynch also says that the Tar Heels have to keep the Wolverines from getting second, third, and fourth shots at the offensive end.
You know, Michigan is a great offensive rebounding team, and you know, we've had a lot of time to prepare. You know, during the regular season, playing against Duke, who has 4 players going to the board glass at all times. That's playing Wake Forest in the conference, Florida State. You know, they're not as good as Michigan, but they do a great job of preparing you. I think that we've had a chance to play Michigan early in the year where we know what to expect. You know, all the guys are strong and, you know, big guys. So we have to just, you know, what Coach Smith teaches all year long, you know, box out and keep them from one shot. I think that's going to make the determining factor. If we can do that, we can win the game. Carolina didn't win. The last time these two teams met, it was in the Rainbow Classic semifinals in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Lynch remembers that game from this past December. And he knows from that experience that you cannot let Chris Webber back you down close to the basket and pin you behind him. Well, anytime he got in the post and you know, I was caught behind him, it was a lot of trouble. You know, he's a great player and he's very strong. So he gets close to the box. It's an easy two for him. So I'm really relying on the guards to give me help, or you know, anytime they try to throw the lob pass, I'm trying to use my quickness to get around him and deflect the ball away. Tonight, Derek Phelps will have to do what he's been doing his whole career at Carolina, it seems, and that is play through the pain of another injury.
I think, you know, at first, you know, I had the knee injury since my freshman year, and I think that always bothered me from, you know, since my freshman year. But I think after that, I guess the elbow injury came after Florida State when I got, you know, hit from behind from Rodney Dobar. Then you know, I got hurt with a back injury in practice one game that, you know, that really, you know, took my, you know, my balance out. I couldn't really, you know, bend down too much on defense, you know, really get that stable balance, you know, to play defense. And this hip injury, the last injury that happened, that, you know, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it did, but, you know, right now it is very sore and it is a bother to me. Derek Phelps of Carolina. Now he'll be guarding guard Jalen Rose, a 6'8" point guard whose height allows him to see over the Tar Heel double teams and sometimes find open teammates for easy ones. On the subject of trash talking, well, it doesn't bother Henrik Rodel because Henrik is amused by it.
First of all, I didn't understand much they were saying to me at first, so it didn't bother me that much, you know. But there's some confident and cocky players in Europe too, and you know, and I think it was a little different over here, but I think it never bothered me very much because I'm not the type of player that talks back, and you know, I guess there's some people, you know, if you talk to somebody a whole lot and they never talk back, it kind of gets old after a while, and they stop doing that to me. So usually people don't talk very much to me. Henrik Rodel of Carolina. We
want you also to hear from the flat-topped Eric Montross, who says that the Tar Heels are not going to let this become a game where Michigan is energized by wanting to prove their worth to the media. The Tar Heels, according to Montross, have something to prove as well.
It's very easy to shut that out for the reason that we're a focused team, and we've only gone up against a lot of teams this year, and a lot of teams have had certain styles. A lot of them have been cocky. Cincinnati, for example, made a lot of comments to you all that they didn't respect us. They didn't respect Coach Smith because they hadn't won, more than one national championship, and that can get under your skin if anything can when they're talking about you and your coaching staff. And then as far as the athleticism goes, you see Brian Reese, Derek Phelps, George Lynch, on down the line. I think that George Lynch and Brian Reese and Derek Phelps are as good or better than all the other athletes on Michigan's team. I think that they're just as quick and just have as much ability and are just as strong. So I think that sometimes because the Fab Five syndrome, and they expect so much more, but I think we have just as much.
Eric Montross of the Heels. Earlier in this segment, I mentioned Four Corners in Chapel Hill. Scott Jagow is staffing that facility where malt beverage is being quaffed in can, bottle, and keg. Jake, what's the atmosphere like on Franklin Street right now?
Well, Mick, they're just chanting, "We will rock you," and "Go Heels." It's kind of rowdy in here, and yeah, I think they are partaking of some malt beverages here in Four Corners on Franklin Street. It's a great atmosphere. Everybody is excited. They've been here for hours. There are people standing outside in line in the cold rain, 35 degrees, waiting to get in.
My goodness. Well, just remember, know when to say when. That is Scott Jagow reporting from Four Corners Live in downtown Chapel Hill. Stay with us now for more of the ACC Today, including Michigan head coach Steve Fisher, when we come right back.
I live in a little town, not a lot to do. So my family took some music lessons, and we learned to play some too. Daddy played bass, brother played guitar, mama played pots and pans. And before we knew it, our friends stepped to it, and we formed a neighborhood band. Rock on the street dance, 7 days of jamming on Saturday night. Good times, good friends, ice cold natural light. And that's a St. Louis, Missouri.
Perhaps no other sport best exemplifies the concept of team leadership better than basketball. For every winning team seems to have one player whose ability to lead and create opportunities is the catalyst for victory. To that point, Exxon and the Exxon Education Foundation are the catalyst for opportunity for many students. With contributions totaling over $20 million annually towards educational programs and projects, thousands of students have achieved their scholastic goals. It's all part of Exxon's long-standing commitment to students and their education.
Hi, this is Woody Durham. You know, I've taken Goody's headache powders for a whole lot of years, and they work every time. Goody's is just too good to be without. So try using Goody's Extra Strength tablets. Goody's tablets have the same fast-acting ingredients as Goody's powders, the same combination that's been a Southern favorite for over 60 years. When I've got a headache, I need relief fast. So do you. Try Goody's Extra Strength tablets. Goody's, a name you can trust.
Are you ready? Are you ready, ready, ready? Are you ready for the real food?
You'll love Hardee's chicken because the test said folks prefer the taste of Hardee's over KFC original recipe almost 2 to 1. And right now, we'll give you 8 pieces of Hardee's fried chicken and 4 made-from-scratch biscuits for just $5.99.
Are you ready for some real food?
Hardee's. Limited time offer at participating Hardee's.
From the Louisiana Superdome, Tar Heel Sports Network coverage of the national championship game continues with the ACC Today with Michigan head coach Steve Fisher. This is Mick Mixon reporting. Coach Fisher, these two ball clubs did meet in December in the Rainbow Classic. It was a 79-78 Wolverine win. Now, from a preparation standpoint, what does that experience mean now?
I think what it means is when you go back and review films, you see yourself in the film. When you do your cutouts and show your kids, a lot of it will be from that game. Both teams are better. They're different. Donald Williams did not start that game, and he may be the most integral player on their team. 5 for 7 from three-point range against Kansas. So I think you'll see 2 teams that will play exceptionally well, and I don't think that game will have any significant bearing on how either team approaches tonight's encounter.
Steve, what type of game does Michigan want tonight?
We won a game where after 40 minutes we got 1 more point than the Tar Heels. I think we're capable of playing whatever pace is there. I think in maybe subtly different styles we're more similar than many people will think. Inside attack first, that's the thought process. Good defense that will allow you to get opportunities to run. Prioritize rebounding. Those are winning elements that every good program has, and I do think that both North Carolina and Michigan have those better than most.
Coach Fisher, do teams that extend their defense and try to get out in the passing lanes like North Carolina, do those teams generally have more difficulty keeping you off the offensive boards?
No, not really. I think the way North Carolina plays, they created havoc for everybody with their defense. They take you out of what you want to do and make you have to do things that you maybe have not done, and decision-making becomes very important. I do like the way our kids make decisions, so they'll put problems on us with their pressure, and we'll have to react to it.
Coach, have you and your staff isolated a few of, I guess, what fans and media people might call keys to the game, things where you think you've especially got to excel tonight in order to win it?
Same old, same old. The team that defends better and rebounds better will, in all probability, win.
Seems like it's going to be that kind of night, just the basics of basketball, defense, and rebounding, as you've stated. Coach, when you talk to your ball club for the last time here in a couple of minutes, what will be your pre-national championship game message to them?
Well, I don't know that we will do a lot of win one for the Gipper type of motivational speech. You don't need that. We just need to make certain that we remain extremely focused, and we've had that, and then go out and play relaxed but yet intense basketball for 40 minutes. And just to be here is a great, great thrill and honor. But now when you're here in the final two, you don't want to just be here. You want to be that team cutting the nets down, and whoever has it happen, it will be a phenomenal, phenomenal season. The team that doesn't, it will be also a great season. But we're hoping that we can come out and play with poise under pressure, and if that happens, I think we've got a good chance.
I've prepared just two more questions for you, Steve. The first one is, do you think it will help your ball club at all play tonight? The fact that you remember how it felt to lose in this game last year, and you do not want to have that silent flight back to the Chrysler Arena this time?
Maybe more than the feeling after the game was the feeling during the game. When stress hit in the last 8 minutes of that game, we fragmented a little bit and tried to do a little too much stuff individually. I think that has helped us all season maintain a team concept and not have to think about one person getting us back in a game. So the experience of being here and the way the game was played, more than anything, will be the help to us if and when it's needed.
Lastly, Coach, I know you're a deeply religious man. Is there particular wisdom in Catholic teaching that you draw strength from in critical situations like tonight?
No, I think that the peace of mind and the feeling you get when you go into church is what a player can take with him into those stressful minutes on the court. I think that more than anything else, it's an ability to allow you to be composed and to have a feeling, a comfort and a positive feeling when everyone else about you is losing their control. And that's why I've gone to church every day I've been here. You can get away from all these other things and have a chance to just reflect a little bit, and I think that helps you in stressful situations.
Coach Fisher, thanks for the visit, and good luck to you and the Michigan Wolverines tonight, and we'll talk to you afterward.
Okay, appreciate it.
Interest rates haven't been this low since Bones McKinney and Frank McGuire coached in the ACC. There's never been a smarter time to borrow, and there's never been a smarter loan than a pay-any-day loan from First Citizens Bank. Pay-any-day costs less than ordinary consumer loans because it's simple interest, and you can make your payment any day of the month without penalty. See First Citizens for a pay-any-day loan. But hurry, we don't expect to see these interest rates back next season. Member FDIC.
From
From the Moorhead Planetarium in the Old Well to the Smith Center and Keenan Stadium, Chapel Hill is a study in landmarks. And one of the most prominent landmarks of all is the historic Carolina Inn. For over 65 years, the Carolina Inn has offered fine food and cheerful accommodations. Our toll-free reservations number is 1-800-962-8519. So next time you're in Chapel Hill, enjoy a meal and spend the night with an old friend, the Carolina Inn.
Making it to the pros means giving them your best. And being a professionally trained auto technician means installing only the best. Like top-quality CarQuest auto parts. So when you want the best, look for a pro who knows the score. A pro who installs top-quality auto parts from CarQuest.
This one's out of here.
CarQuest. Welcome to the pros.
Exxon products have long been associated with high performance, like Exxon 93 Supreme Gasoline, which gives you a cleaner engine and smooth acceleration. So it should come as no surprise that Exxon is a major sponsor of Atlantic Coast Conference basketball. In the last 12 years, 8 of the ACC tournament champions have made it to the Final Four. 4 of those teams have won it all. For high performance in basketball, look to the ACC. For high performance from your car, rely on Exxon 93 Supreme Gasoline.
Back here at the Louisiana Superdome, this is Mick Mixon on the Tar Heel Sports Network, and we are getting ever closer to Carolina-Michigan basketball, and this is, of course, the ACC Today. An ACC Today that would not be complete without the former player perspective, and for that, we have in the stands, wired up for sound, Larry Miller, who's played in a couple of these babies. 1967, Larry's been named to Silver Anniversary Team, the Balfour Silver Anniversary Team by the National Association of Basketball Coaches. More about that in just a moment. But Larry, what's it like to be a participant in the Final Four?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's tougher to get here as a non-player than it is a player with the way I've had to get through the audience right now. But it's a great event. It's gotten extremely 10 times more intense than it was back then, with the TV and the, the hoopla behind it.
Seems like it because, I mean, this is unbelievable. The Superdome here is so huge. Did you ever imagine back in your playing days, Larry, that the National Basketball Championship Tournament would become this big?
Well, we couldn't imagine that, but when we saw UCLA and Houston play in 1968 in the first regular season nationally televised game that drew that kind of interest, there was a little hint that this thing might come about.
In the Houston Astrodome, I well remember. Larry, congratulations, too, on being named to that NABC Silver Anniversary NCAA Championship team. Where were you and what were you doing when you got that happy news?
I was in Raleigh, and we were about entering the ACC tournament, and I said the only better thing that could happen was if Carolina made it here to the final game.
And that, of course, has happened. What's this weekend been like for you? You've gotten a chance to see some of your old buddies.
Absolutely, the most superb weekend. The NABC has been a grand host, and the people here have been gracious, and we're here. That makes it so much more special.
Are you still in touch with the game? Are you a fan?
Oh, I'm real close to it, yeah.
What do you think about tonight's matchup, Carolina and Michigan?
I feel real confident, and I feel that because I think our inside game can negate theirs. We've withstood a lot of three-point shots in the last 3 games in tight games, and Donald can take over a game if we need to be.
Yeah, no doubt. It'd help if he had his shooting eye tonight, no doubt.
That's right.
Larry, thanks for coming over. It's great to see you. You're looking well, and by all means, keep in touch with us, and congratulations, too, on the Silver Anniversary nomination.
Thank you very much, Mick, and good luck.
Thank you. As former Tar Heel Larry Miller talking with us live on the Tar Heel Sports Network. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Tar Heel Sports Network.
You're listening to Carolina Basketball on WWMG, Shelby, Charlotte.
For the Michigan Wolverine perspective, we sought out their 2 best players, Chris Webber and Jalen Rose. And even the remarkable Webber cannot escape questions here at the Final Four with all this attention on Michigan and Carolina. Chris even can't escape questions about leaving college this spring for the NBA.
I'm really trying not to think about that. Hopefully I can just think about Carolina win and then take a week off and then come back and talk with Coach Fisher and Coach Watson and my family and hopefully make the right decision. But right now, if it were up to Chris Webber, he'd stay because even though he's been going through this thing, I've never been involved with anybody besides my family that I've loved as much as this Michigan team, with Coach Fisher and the Softs and Rob Pelinka and Eric. And so if it were up to me right now, I'd definitely stay, which I think that I would do next year.
If Michigan loses tonight, will Chris Webber consider this season a failure?
Yes. Different people put different pressures and expectations on themselves. And for Chris Webber, last year's season was a failure. Why? Because I didn't go on any vacations during the season. Spring break we're practicing, winter break we're practicing. I have to take tutors on the road. I have to do papers on an airplane. I have to sacrifice free time. I can't see my family like I want to. And why am I doing that? Because I've set a goal to try to win every game that I play. And if I don't achieve my goal, I feel that I failed. I don't feel that Chris Webber is a failure, but I feel that I failed. I don't feel that I underachieved. I feel that I failed in reaching my goal, because ultimately that's what I did do. So definitely, even, North Carolina might be a better team than we are, but I still feel that if we lose, that I have failed.
That's typical of the mindset of both of these teams. Here not just to be here and say they got close, but here to win it. Now, as good a player as Chris Webber is, guard Jalen Rose is the leader of the Wolverines.
Well, believe it or not, I think the number one reason why we win is that we are disciplined. Disciplined teams know how to win. You could talk about, toning down or not trash talking. Discipline to me is winning. Finding a way to win and playing with winners. That's what we do, and that's what we do well. And, we're going to pride ourselves on doing that.
In Jalen's mind, Michigan has already won tonight's game.
You know what? I never thought about that. We will be going to the White House, won't we? I look forward to going to the White House. I've never been there before. And, anytime you get to meet the most powerful man in the world, it makes me feel good, because, I wouldn't mind being here.
As Jalen Rose of the Michigan Wolverines, and he's already taken mental possession of the crown and a trip to the White House to be coronated. Woody Durham has got a microphone by a couple of special guests, including the Chancellor of the University, Paul Harden. Woody?
Well, at the moment, Mick, the athletic director, John Swafford, who may join us momentarily, is lost in this crowd that will again tonight number better than 60,000 here in the Superdome. But as he does so often at UNC functions, heading up the official delegation is the Chancellor, Paul Harden. Chancellor, this is an exciting time, isn't it?
Woody, it's wonderful, wonderful. Mick, good to be with you too, my friend.
Good to be with you, Paul.
As I was talking earlier today with John Swafford, Paul, not only are we enjoying the success of what the football team did in the Peach Bowl and what the basketball team is trying to do here tonight. Actually, by just being here, the basketball team has accomplished a lot. But this has been a tremendous year and continues to be for University Athletics.
One of the great years in the history of our sports programs, and I'm very proud of John Swafford and our coaches. We've had a wonderful year. And Woody, being in New Orleans at the Final Four and in the final game is a wonderful experience. The only thing I can think of better than that is to win tonight. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Chancellor, I like your positive tone. Let me just ask you, when something like this happens to the University of North Carolina, it's certainly, the university has high visibility around the country anyway, but it just must enhance that visibility.
Woody, it's not only good publicity, but it's the right kind of publicity, because we graduate our athletes on time. These are young people of real character. That will show tonight, win or lose. They'll show their character, and they are a great credit to our university. I'm very proud of these players and these coaches and the trainers and the whole group, including CHL and the Voice of the South.
Oh, thank you very much. That's Chancellor Paul Harden. And, Mick, regardless of how this game goes tonight, whether Michigan wins or Carolina wins, and each school has done it before, it would be only the 10th time in recorded history that a school has won a postseason football game and had its basketball team win the national championship in the same academic calendar year.
Last team to do it was Michigan. They had a year like that in 1989. We'll have Woody Durham's pregame conversation with Carolina head coach Dean Smith for you when we return live to the Superdome with more of the ACC Today.
Our countdown in the Superdome to the tap-off of tonight's national championship game continues now, and I've joined the head coach of the Tar Heels.
Gosh, I didn't know we were playing for the national. It was just a little game with Michigan, Woody, but we certainly are looking forward to it. We're happy we're here, and we do want to play extremely well, and I think the team will try very hard.
Coach, it was 14 weeks ago in Honolulu when these two teams last met, and Michigan eked out a one-point win. Needless to say, they have changed. Both teams have changed. In what way do you think?
Well, the main thing is Jackson is back for them, and he was a starter. He got hurt the first 2 minutes, and he's just a tremendous athlete at 6'6", so they're much better from a personnel standpoint. Of course, I hadn't realized till somebody told me that all their reserves were former starters for the University of Michigan team. So, and they haven't played that much, but they're certainly capable. So I think Michigan is stronger. I think we're stronger. I watched that tape, and I was so discouraged with our first half play offensively. We did pick up and play better in the second half, but defensively we're there pretty much through the entire game. I just hope we don't have all the unforced turnovers we did over in Hawaii, but it was an extremely exciting game, and in the second half it was a well-played game.
Coach, in talking about this Michigan team, I know statistics don't always reveal everything you want to know about an opponent's shooting, but only 2 opponents this year have been able to shoot better than 50% against Michigan. How then do the Tar Heels go about tonight getting what they want against that defense?
Well, of course, what we'd like to do is get some easy ones from us, get a steal or so, and then we'd like to get some second shots. Of course, that doesn't help your field goal percent any. If you miss one, well, you get the rebound and score. It's the same as going 1 for 1, but statistically you're 50%. So I think we can get good shots. I think we'll have to be able to make the outside shot some, and as I imagine, they'll really jam in tight on Eric.
Coach, coming out of the Kansas game on Saturday, except for the 16 turnovers in that ball game, in a game in which there was I guess less than about 80 possessions. How did you feel about the play of the offense on Saturday?
I was excited about our overall game, with the exception of 3 turnovers in the second half with the lead, and there were tight quarters down underneath the basket. And other than that, I think we played an excellent basketball game against a tremendous basketball team, and that's why we're here in the national finals, because that was the best we played defensively probably all year. And we had to, they couldn't, their strength is really, Roy and I talked this morning, and of course they were going to really try to go inside, and we kept them from getting those inside shots, and it stayed a close game because of Jordan and Walters having a hot shooting game outside.
Coach, one of the things that interested me is how effective you shut down Kansas inside game and yet gave them only 3 trips to the foul line.
Well, that's true, and we do a good job getting around. When you play behind a post man, you have a tendency to foul more. But if you get around in front, of course, there's nobody there to foul. Now they got to throw over, and of course we have help, I hope, if they do throw over.
Coach, except for Rose and Weber in the scoring column over in Hawaii, the defense did a fairly decent job against Michigan. Can you share with us how you might plan to attack them tonight?
Well, we're pretty much the same. I hope we have a little better pressure. We toyed with the idea of playing a little more zone because they're very good athletes and they're not great outside shooters. But what's the hard part in the zone is then they can get the easy second shot more appropriately than they can against a man-to-man. So we'll stay with what got us here and see what happens.
Coach, what kind of game do you expect tonight with regard to possessions and score?
I imagine it'll be similar to what it was over in Hawaii, which I guess maybe 90 possessions, 85. I don't have that statistic. You guys keep that up pretty well.
Well, would you want to score in the 80s tonight?
I think, I'll tell you the truth, what we'd like to do is wear them down. And we don't think they're used to changing ends quite as quickly. And then they'll get tired because they don't change ends quickly, and I hope we can, and that means we'll have to substitute some, but maybe in the end they'll have people on the court that haven't been playing as much.
Coach, there's a great deal of excitement about this, there should be. It's a national championship game, and I think Carolina fans are confident that you and the team will find a way to get the job done.
Well, the real Carolina fans are happy we're here. We hope we win, and then they still like this team.
Coach, have a good game.
Thank you.
We keep getting closer to tip-off. It is coming up shortly, and with 2 number-1 seeds playing in a neutral site, college basketball and NCAA rules provide for a coin flip to see who gets the privilege of wearing the lighter color uniforms or their choice of uniform. A coin flip was held and Michigan won it. They selected their maize or their gold uniforms. So the Tar Heels had their choice of either white or blue, because either would be a contrasting color, and the rules say only that there must be a contrast. Carolina has picked their blue uniforms. They were wearing white when they lost to Michigan at the Rainbow Classic semifinals in Hawaii. Coming up at halftime tonight, we'll be talking live with Eddie Fogler, former head basketball coach at Vanderbilt, headed for Columbia, South Carolina to take over the Gamecock program. Plus, we'll have other interesting guests for you as well. Now, stay tuned for Carolina, Michigan, and keys to the game when the ACC Today continues on the Tar Heel Sports Network. national championship night at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans. And as we get you ready for the tip-off coming up in just a few minutes, there are keys that we need to communicate to you. Woody, one big key for tonight's Carolina-Michigan matchup is to keep Michigan off of the offensive glass. They pursue their own missed shots so relentlessly, and usually offensive rebounds result in short, easy shots like dunk follows and stickbacks.
You know, Mick, in coming to the offensive glass in waves, as the Wolverines will do, and you pointed out very well, they may not get back as quickly as most teams do on defense. And any Carolina rebounds that do belong to the guys in light blue tonight might indeed lead to long outlet passes and some transition baskets, in accordance with what Coach Smith told us a while ago in really trying to run the Wolverines from one end of the floor to the other.
That's right. If you send all 5 players to the boards, you take a huge chance that if you don't win the rebound, then there's a fast break going the other way. And there must be communication, too, on who is going to stay back. If Jalen Rose crashes the boards, then a Jimmy King or a Ray Jackson will have to hurry back. I think it'll be a game played, too, close to the basket tonight, and a game decided in close. So another Carolina key will be to keep pounding that glass themselves for second chance opportunity.
Carolina did out-rebound Michigan and Hawaii, but the difference was slight, 37-34. The Tar Heels have been out-rebounded only 4 times this year, have a +9 advantage on the year, while Michigan is almost +8. Mick, this game is definitely going to be played above the rim.
Yeah, it's going to be physical, too. I think 2 key matchups involve 2 of Carolina's best players on 2 of Michigan's. Derek Phelps on Jalen Rose, and then George Lynch on Chris Webber down low.
Well, at 6'8", Rose is tall enough to see over the traps, the double team. So Carolina's going to have to really be aggressive, hands up on Jalen Rose tonight to keep him from making a lot of the passes they want him to make. George Lynch went only 0 for 1 in the Saturday win in the NCAA semifinals, and that went over Kansas, and so you know he does other things like rebound and play defense, and I think we'll see the Roanoke seniors' best effort tonight on one of college basketball's best players.
You mentioned this earlier, Michigan's Achilles heel. They do not shoot foul shots very well as a team. That'll be important for Carolina to get on the line and then connect, and they need Donald Williams to hit from the perimeter in order to open up that middle. Well, here we go. Michigan and Carolina for the national championship. The starting lineups and the tip-off coming up live from New Orleans in 1 minute. Stay here.
If you're looking for more of those little things tonight in the Superdome, Mick told you that Michigan won the flip of the coin, so Michigan's pep band got to play the national anthem. The Wolverines also got the choice of uniforms. I don't know about benches. Maybe Michigan got the choice of bench, but Carolina is on the same bench it was on Saturday when it beat Kansas to extend its record in the Superdome to 5-0. And I don't think I have to tell anybody that that's also the bench Carolina was sitting on in 1982 when it won the national championship. Starting lineups have been introduced for the 31-4 third-ranked Michigan Wolverines, who are in the championship game for a second straight year. Up front, Chris Webber, 6'9", sophomore, Detroit, Michigan. Ray Jackson, 6'6", sophomore, Austin, Texas. And Juwan Howard, 6'9", sophomore, Chicago, Illinois. The backcourt, Jimmy King, the 6'5", sophomore from Plano, Texas. And Jalen Rose, the 6'8", sophomore from Detroit, Michigan. For Carolina, George Lynch, 6'8", senior, Roanoke, Virginia. Brian Reese, 6'6", junior, Bronx, New York. Eric Montross, 7-foot junior, Indianapolis, Indiana. And in the backcourt, Donald Williams, 6'3", sophomore, Garner, North Carolina. And Derek Phelps, the 6'4", junior from East Elmhurst, New York. Donald Williams working on a run of 3 20-point performances in a row. 22 against Arkansas, 20 against Cincinnati, 25 against Kansas. And Mick Mixon, George Lynch is working on 3 double-doubles in a row, bringing his streak now to 16 on the year.
Well, George Lynch, Carolina would probably not be here without all of their starters, but in particular, Derek Phelps, Donald Williams, and George Lynch. And I think you'll see the Tar Heels, too, try to set some screens at the point of the ball for Donald Williams to get him free. Jimmy King will guard him. He has overwhelming physical skills. It ought to be a good matchup.
Ed Hightower tosses it in the air, and flash bulbs pop throughout the 60,000-plus crowd in the Louisiana Superdome. Michigan controls it. Jackson away to Jalen Rose on the left wing. He works against Brian Reese in the man-to-man. Rose starts out to the middle, goes back now in the middle. He's double-teamed. Got it high post to Juwan Howard. One dribble foul line, dropped it off to Webber. He shoots from the outside, off the front of the rim, knocked outside, and recovered by Lynch just to the right of the circle. Off quickly to Derek Phelps. Tar Heels on the attack now in the right corner to Brian Reese. He looks low for Eric Montross. Goes out high to Donald Williams. One dribble to the right, then to Phelps. Down low to Montross. Spins on Juwan Howard. Blocked. Recovered in the lane. Brian Reese tried to put it up. Knocked outside. Ball loose. Goes out of bounds. Went out of bounds off Phelps. Montross going inside, blocked by Juwan Howard and Weber, who point emphatically at each other to acknowledge the block that each helped the other put on the ball. Pressure by Phelps in the backcourt as the ball is inbounded to King. Jackson got it into him. Ray Jackson, of course, the player who was injured early on in the first meeting in Hawaii 14 weeks ago, which Michigan won 79-78 on Jalen Rose follow of a missed Jimmy King shot at the buzzer. Rose on the baseline drive, shots up, no good. Rebounded by George Lynch. That's his second of the ball game. Derek Phelps coming quickly front court, drives right through the top of the circle, now goes to the basket, up off the glass, it's good, and Carolina leads by a 2-0 score. Derek Phelps, who had hit only one of his last 6 shots over the last 2 NCAA tournament games. On the wing, pass coming out front to King from Jackson. Donald Williams is on King, now comes to Rose. Derek Phelps on him to Juwan Howard. Donald Williams, a mismatch there with King, Howard rather, the taller of the two. Goes to Jackson, now to King, back it comes to Jalen Rose on the left wing, right in front of the Tar Heel bench. To Weber, now to Jackson, down inside, Juwan Howard, blocked from behind by Lynch. And Lynch has got the loose ball. 2-0 Tar Heels. To Williams, down the left sideline. He'll give it out front to George Lynch. Lynch on the drive to the right, up off the glass, no good. Montross with a follow, it's good, and he's fouled by Jimmy King. 4-0 Carolina. Michigan has its first team foul, and Montross will have a chance for the three-point play.
If the Tar Heels get the ball after missed Michigan shots, they're going to look to run and push tempo. If they get the ball out of the net, then they're going to pick their spots, but they will still run after made field goals. Carolina is successfully so far beating Michigan subtly. It's not great numerical advantages the Tar Heels are gaining, but they are coming up the floor quickly, and Michigan is having to just pick up anybody they can to stop the break as opposed to looking for their individual man-to-man assignments.
Steve Fisher's already gone to his bench, Mick. He inserts Eric Riley, the 7-foot senior from Cleveland, for Chris Weber, and assistant coach Perry Watson is having a face-to-face talk with Weber on the Michigan bench. Montross's free throw is good, and it's 5-0 in favor of Carolina in the first minute and 45 seconds of play. Phelps picking up Jalen Rose in the backcourt. Gets it front court across the timeline left side. Brings it toward the middle. Bounces it now to Juwan Howard against Lynch. Well out. Howard trying to move to the left. Lynch cutting him off. Forces him to pick up the dribble. Now he goes to Jackson. Jackson moving right side. Brian Reese got his hands up. Goes now to Riley. Looked inside. Will drop it off now to King. King on the left side to Juwan Howard against Lynch. Juwan Howard in the corner. It goes to Jackson. He'll drive the baseline. Whistle, offensive foul on Ray Jackson. His first, team second. 5-0 Carolina, and the first few minutes of play have definitely belonged completely to the Tar Heels.
Boy, Carolina looks relaxed. They're moving quickly without the ball offensively and talking it up and switching on exchanges smoothly defensively.
Steve Fisher and his assistants up off the bench yelling at the defenders as they set up. Donald Williams spinning, shooting, no good. Ball recovered in the lane by Jackson. He gets the outlet to King. Williams will try to cut him off. The layup is no good, and the foul is on Donald Williams. Donald Williams had a good look at the basket on that outside jump shot, but he could not get it to go down, and he commits the team's first personal foul. In the first meeting between these two teams, Donald went 4 of 11 from the field, had 15 points. On Saturday, of course, against Kansas, 25 points on 7 of 11 shooting at all of Carolina's three-pointers, 5 of 7, while Michigan went 0 for 4 from three-point range. King at the foul line. He's a 64% shooter, and he puts Michigan on the board for the first time tonight with his first point.
With all the publicity Weber and Rose have gotten, people forget sometimes about what a marvelous athlete and a great basketball sense Jimmy King has.
Weber is coming back into the Michigan lineup, and Riley will sit down. Steve Fisher was more animated on the bench on Saturday night in that semifinal overtime win over Kentucky than I remember seeing him at any time, either in person or on television, and he acknowledged that yesterday, and he is very much into this game at the outset tonight. Phelps has got to get rid of it, and the 5 seconds closely guarded call by Michigan. Jimmy King catching Derek Phelps. Dean Smith up off the bench, and Derek Phelps motions to the bench. Okay, I understand what I didn't do that time and what I should have done. I'll be okay. Jalen Rose across the timeline. 5-2 the score. Carolina with a 3-point lead. Juwan Howard against Lynch. High post pass going to Jackson. He'll come out front, bounce pass to Jalen Rose, dumps it down low to Weber. Weber up with a slam dunk, and it's 5-4. Chris Weber, Michigan's leading scorer, consensus All-American at 19-1. Michigan hustling back to set up defensively. Phelps attacking out front. against King. Goes to Donald Williams. He brings Jalen Rose across the top of the circle. Hits Derek Phelps. Phelps working against King. To George Lynch, to Brian Reese, to Donald Williams. He looks low, now dribbles through the top of the circle. Bounce pass away to George Lynch. Lynch drops it down inside to Brian Reese. Couldn't get the shot. Recovered by Montross. He goes up for the shot. No basket. Foul is called on Michigan, and I believe it is on Ray Jackson. If you heard something that sounded like a shot or live pot behind us, it was the entrances to one of the aisles falling out of the protected barrier in front of the seats which stretch up behind our broadcast location. And now they're trying to get it picked up and fitted back in, and they're making nearly as much noise with it now as they were when it fell. Jackson's foul is his second, Mick, and that is the third team foul against Michigan. And Jackson is out of the ball game as Michigan has inserted Rob Pelinka, the 6'6 senior from Lake Bluff, Illinois. Montross converts on his free throw. He'll have another shot coming. It is 6-4.
They need Jackson, Michigan does, because of his defensive ability. He's the least publicized of the Fab Five, but very tough in the man-to-man defense.
Montross's next free throw is good also. He got the bounce. He's got 5, and it's 7-4 Carolina. 16.5 minutes left to play first half. Jalen Rose against Phelps across the timeline left side. The double team is coming. They cause Rose to pick up his dribble. Throws it cross court and out of bounds. Carolina forces the turnover. Second of the ball game for Michigan. Michigan coming in, averaging about 16 turnovers a game. Carolina forcing 18.
Great anticipation by the heels. Jalen's a left-hand point guard. He likes to bring the ball up the left side. Carolina guessed right and brought the trap over.
Phelps working to the right wing in front of the Michigan bench. Gives it to Reese. Inside to Montross. Turns in the lane. Blocked Weber. Knocked outside. Stolen right back by Brian Reese. And he gets bumped on the play and blocked by Weber. That's number 1 on the Detroit sophomore All-American, and the 4th team foul on Michigan. Carolina will get the ball out of bounds. Weber has 88 blocks on the year coming into the game, and already he's put a hand on a couple of Montross attempts down low.
He's going to block some shots. You just have to keep taking it to him.
Phelps inbounds to George Lynch. Now comes to Montross out high. To Phelps on the left side. Alley-oop to George Lynch, who got in behind the Michigan defense. And it is 9-4 Carolina as the Heels match their biggest lead of the first 4 minutes. Jalen Rose across the timeline, left sideline. Gets it to Pelinka, bounce pass right back to Rose. He looks to his right, now drives down on the left, puts up the shot off the glass, no good. Reese had his hands on it, couldn't control it. Montross has got it, they give it to Phelps. Phelps coming front court, he'll give it to Donald Williams down in the right corner, down low to Lynch. Lynch to the baseline, bounced it to Montross, threw it away, and it's out of bounds to Michigan. And with that, we get a horn stopping play as we get an official timeout. Before you think that's such a great sacrifice on Mick Mixon's part, he shaved his mustache earlier this year, so he's made one of the biggest cosmetic changes in his life. Jimmy King picks up the dribble in the backcourt, goes to Juwan Howard. Lynch on him as tight as possible, out near the timeline. Howard puts the ball to the floor, gets it right back to King. King holds it high, gets Donald Williams. Now he'll come to the middle on the right-handed dribble. Pushes it away to Pelinka against Sullivan. Now to Juwan Howard to Jalen Rose. Lynch moving on him, a lot of switching. Pelinka shoots the 3, and it's good. First three-pointer of the Final Four weekend for Michigan. Rob Pelinka shooting 39% from that area. Pulls Michigan within 2. Montross to Sullivan left side. Looks down low for Lynch. Gets it to him. Turns on Juwan Howard. Flips it over to Derek Phelps. Phelps one dribble. Looks inside. Now goes baseline to Lynch. Lynch up off balance. Shot goes over the top of Montross. Put up too hard. Rebounded by Michigan to Weber. Back to King. Now to Jalen Rose. Too far underneath. To Pelinka. He shoots another 3, and it's good. Back-to-back threes by Rob Pelinka. Michigan knows that against Carolina's defense, the threes might be there early on if they go down. And the first 2 have. Williams across the top of the circle on the right-handed dribble. To Phelps on the right. He'll drive on King to the baseline. Got caught in traffic. Out to Sullivan. Didn't take it. Donald Williams, right, left side. Jumper off the front of the rim. No good. Rebounded by Phelps. In traffic. Leaning in. Puts up the shot. No good. Missed a gimme from about 10 feet away. Rebounded by Michigan's King. Michigan in the lead for the first time at 10-9. Here's Weber giving it up to Jalen Rose. He shoots the 3, and it's good. Michigan has buried 3 straight 3-points. 2 by Pelinka, 1 by Jalen Rose, and it's 13-9. Michigan by 4. Lynch, right wing to Williams. Now goes down low to Montross. Jump hook, no good. Rebounded Michigan, and here come the Wolverines on the run. King in the middle to Jalen Rose. Pelinka right side, calling for it to Juwan Howard. Jumper top of the circle, 2 flat. Weber with a rebound, back out to Jalen Rose. Rose will set up the offense. To Weber left side. Montross moving out on him. Weber goes to his left. On the drive, up off the glass. It's good. Weber knocking Sullivan down, didn't get the call on the play. Sullivan did not. 4 points for Weber, 15-9, and just like that, having trailed by 5 at 9-4, Michigan is on an 11-0 run with 13:15 left to play in the first half. Donald Williams driving baseline. Hands it off to Montross, and he misses the dunk, but it hung on the top of the rim, front of the rim, and fell in. I thought he had pulled it out of there on that collapsible rim again, much like last week at the Meadowlands, 15-11. Jalen Rose out front. They make the switch. Rose picks up his dribble, goes to Juwan Howard. Off to Pelinka. Pelinka fakes Montross, drives baseline, puts up the shot, no good. Weber with a follow, scores. And there's a foul called on the play as Lynch, Weber, and Pelinka all go to the floor. They're going to whistle it on George Lynch for pulling Chris Weber down. Basket counts by Weber. It's his 6th point. And Lynch is charged with his first personal second-team foul. Reese, Sullivan, or rather Reese, Rodel, and Salvadori in as Williams, Lynch, and Montross go out.
One of Michigan's real motifs is how they read missed shots so well. They do a great job of anticipating where their misses are going to come off, and then they hurry to occupy that spot.
Michigan 3 of 4 from three-point range. Carolina 0 for 1. Chris Weber at the line. The free throw is good. Whistle. Well, Juwan Howard pulled Salvadori down. The whistle sounded, but it was to let a substitute in the game, and there was no foul on Juwan Howard. Weber with 7 points, and it's 18-11, Michigan by 7. Phelps will bring it front court for Carolina against Jimmy King. Phelps driving straight down the middle, goes all the way to the baseline, back out front to Henrik Rodel. He'll push it away to Brian Reese. Now comes to Sullivan. Faking, caught up in the double team, ball knocked away, whistle, foul is on Michigan, and it is on Jimmy King, and that will be number 2 on the Texas sophomore. 15 foul against Michigan. There have been 2 called on King, 2 on Jackson, 1 on Weber. For Carolina, the fouls are Lynch and Williams.
To give you an idea how good a defender Jimmy King is, he's got 56 steals on the year, and that leads the Wolverines.
Henrik Rodel inbound from the sideline to Salvadori against Eric Riley, who's come back in. Now to Sullivan out high. Now goes to Brian Reese. Reese faking, can't get the shot away against Pelinka to Rodel. He'll give it up to Phelps now. Tried to bounce it down low. Knocked away by Howard out of bounds. It'll belong to Carolina. Well, Carolina, a couple of 5-point leads in the early going, and then suddenly the threes by Pelinka and Rose, and the offensive spurt by Chris Weber, and Michigan is on top by 7. Reese faking, hanging in the lane, puts up the shot and gets the bounce over the front of the rim. Brian Reese, 21 double-figure scoring games on the year, needs to be a factor tonight, and Howard on the run gets the basket and gets fouled, according to Jim Stupin, by Kevin Salvadori. Foul on Salvadori, his first, 13 foul Carolina. Howard gets his first basket and will have a chance for Michigan's second 3-point play.
Now, Juwan Howard, who's the 5-man, the center on Michigan, dribbling right through the Tar Heel defense and penetrating the defense, breaking Carolina down, and then hitting the leaner and getting fouled. Good job by Juwan Howard. Somebody's got to pick him up.
Michigan has missed its first 3 shots, and then Bob Woodruff, our statistician, points out that the Wolverines have hit 7 of their next 10. Substitution for Michigan, Michael Talley, who has not played at all in the last 2 games. He was a senior who started 43 of 58 games in 91-92 and has now been relegated to just 8 minutes on average, is in the lineup, and the free throw is good by Howard. He's got the 3-point play, and it's 21-13, Michigan by 8. Carolina trailed early in Hawaii against the Wolverines, but came back. Salvadori to Rodel. Michigan had an 11-point lead against Kentucky with 13.5 minutes left to play in the game. Here's Reese in the lane. Up off the glass, too hard with it. Rebounded by Riley. Reese stuck a hand in, couldn't knock it away. The outlet to Rose on the right side. Give it in the middle of Pelinka, stolen by Rodel. He'll give it up to Phelps. Phelps going down against Riley. Tried to bounce it back. Riley, loose ball. Picked up by Jalen Rose. Got it to Talley. Over it comes to Howard. Howard against Salvadori. Gets the layup. 5 points for Howard. 23-13. Michigan's biggest lead of 10.
19-4, Michigan run.
Henrik Rodel left side to Brian Reese. Holds it behind his head, goes right back to Rodel in front of the Michigan bench. Bounces inside to Lynch. He got double teamed. Spins to the baseline. Tried to lay it up. No good. Salvadori with a follow inside, and he got fouled on the play. 2 shots coming for Kevin Salvadori. Ed Hightower, the referee tonight, making the foul call on Jimmy King. No, maybe it was Eric Riley. 42 rather than 24. Eric Riley, the guilty party, his first, and the team's sixth. Juwan Howard goes out. Second team All Big Ten selection this year. Weber is back in for Michigan. Salvadori with 2 shots. Free throw is good. Now they're saying the foul was on Juwan Howard and not Eric Riley. Still the team's sixth. Salvadori's first free throw is good. He'll have another one coming. This one is good also. 23 to 16, and now we're going to get another break in the action. So the momentum in this game has switched. First it was Carolina, then it was Michigan, and it's still the Wolverines at the Louisiana Superdome.
A 19-6 Michigan spurt has given the Wolverines an 8-point lead at 23 to 15, and this is a broadcast authorized by the National Collegiate Athletic Association through Host Communications, Lexington, Kentucky.
Montross, Lynch, and Reese, a combined 4 of 13 here in the first 9 minutes of play. Carolina in the zone. Michigan works it to the left side to Riley. Back out front to Rose to Pelinka. Now on the right side. Holds it high against Rodel. High post to Weber. Bounce pass inside to Juwan Howard. Put it on the floor. Lost it. Recovered by Carolina. All right, went inside to Riley rather than Howard. 4 turnover by Michigan. Calabria down against Talley. Gets it to Brian Reese. Looks inside. Whips it away to George Lynch. Wide open left side. Behind the Michigan defense. That's only a second field goal, and it's 23-17. The Michigan lead is 6. Riley, left wing to Rose. Looking low for Weber. Montross behind him. Gives it in the corner to Pelinka. Gets it right back now to Talley. Talley goes to Rose. Now it's off to Pelinka. Lynch on him hard on the perimeter. Now out front to Rose. He'll give it to Talley. They look inside. Weber's down low. Moving out in front of Montross now to Jalen Rose. He gets it inside to Weber. Weber. Layup good, and he gets fouled on the play by Lynch. And that's number 2 on George Lynch. George Lynch charged with his second, 4th team foul, and Chris Weber, who missed his first shot, was taken out of the game. Appeared to be getting a very, very heated talk from assistant Perry Watson. Comes back and hits his next 4 shots and will have a chance for his second 3-point play of the ball game. 25-17, 10-10 to play first half. Weber, who's only a 55% free throw shooter, is at the line.
Weber is like a George Lynch, only even more heavily muscled.
Missed the free throw, rebounded by Lynch. Fake the outlet to Phelps. Talley was hanging back to prevent Phelps from handling the ball immediately. Lynch off to Phelps now. Phelps will bring it right through the center jump circle here on this portable playing floor at the Louisiana Superdome. To Reese on the left side against Pelinka, moving down left of the lane. Bounced it to Montross, turns, jump hook, baseline, no good. Fell out the front, rebounded by Howard, who's back in the lineup for Michigan. Stolen by Phelps on the outlet to Rose. Phelps coming down on the left, drives in, fakes, puts up the shot off balance, and got fouled. The push is on Juwan Howard. Phelps goes down, but he's back up and all right. The foul on Howard will be his second. It came as a result of Michigan's 5th turnover. The team foul is the 7th against the Wolverines. Salvadori is coming back for Carolina as Derek Phelps, who is a 68% free throw shooter, goes to the line.
Yeah, that's a 1 ace in Carolina's hole right now, is that they are in the bonus, and there is plenty of time left in the first half. 9 minutes and 42 seconds.
Derek Phelps, the left-hander from East Elmhurst, New York. Puts the first one up, and it's good. That's his 3rd point. He'll have another one coming. Derek Phelps, a year ago, led the ACC in steals with 78. He's got 79 already this year, and he is 9 behind teammate George Lynch. Next free throw is no good. Rebounded Salvadori. Gets the outlet to Brian Reese. Reese faking Talley on the drive. Feeds away to George Lynch. Falls away and scores right over the top of Weber. Lynch with 6, and it's 25-20. Carolina cuts Michigan's 10-point lead in half. Rose left wing against Donald Williams, who's back in the lineup. Rose in the corner. Jump shot, Pelinka for 3. No good. Salvadori with a rebound. Gets it to Phelps, left side. Tar Heels move quickly front court. Phelps against Talley. Bounces inside to Lynch. He moves on Weber. Tried to spin away. Throws it up. No good. Rebounded by Pelinka. Lynch was off balance. Bad shot. I'm not sure if it was a shot or a pass, but it will count probably as a shot. Rose will give it out front to Talley. Trying to penetrate. Jump pass to Pelinka. Back out front to Talley. The little point guard moves to the midcourt area. Will drop it to Jalen Rose, who's now at the wing guard. He'll push it away to Weber. Salvadori on Weber out in the midcourt area. Bounce pass to Rose. In the corner it goes to Talley. Down low to Howard. Intercepted by Carolina. Phelps plucked it out of the air for the 6th turnover committed by Michigan. To Brian Reese. Reese to the lane. Fingertip roll is no good. And the foul is called on Michigan's Chris Weber. And that's number 2. So you've got 4 Michigan players with 2 fouls each already in the first half. King, Jackson, Howard, and Weber. And that's the 8th team foul against the Wolverines as Carolina goes back to the line.
It might not look all that pretty when Carolina slashes to the hole and if shots get blocked or if they do not go in. Yet these fouls are starting to mount up, and Carolina is connecting from the free throw line. It is part of the Tar Heel game plan. Hurry the ball up court, look for that inside opportunity, and hope you get fouled.
That is the call for box out by Steve Fisher in front of the Michigan bench, who's in his 4th full year, looking for his 100th. Brian Reese got the bounce. That ball went in. You heard it rattle around. It looked like it was going to fall out on the right, and then it stayed down in there for Reese's 3rd point. He'll have another shot coming. Carolina from the line, 7 of 8.
Tight rims in this building.
Next free throw by Reese is clearly through. He's got 4. Sullivan is coming back. Reese will go out. Ray Jackson is back for Michigan. And Rob Pelinka's going out. 8:38 to play, first half. Carolina has cut Michigan's 10-point lead down to 3. Carolina led early on a couple of occasions by as many as 5. Weber inbounds to Jalen Rose. Now Rose coming front court against Phelps. Comes back to the right. Started to spin away. Now goes on the wing to Riley. Riley with Montross on him. Well out. Riley picking up his dribble in a bit of trouble. Got it to Jackson. He fumbled it. The trap is there. Jackson dribbles around it to the left. Gets it to Jalen Rose. They look down inside. Williams down at the low post is fronting Chris Weber. What a mismatch size-wise that is. Now they feed it inside to Weber. Weber turns to the lane, puts up the shot. No good. Follow inside. No good. Knocked off the glass by Montross. Recovered Sullivan. Off it goes to Donald Williams. Williams down on the right side. Pulls up. Shoots the 3. Good. And the score is tied at 25. He shot that with a defender hanging all over him from out of the right corner. 7:53 to play in the first half. Jalen Rose flips it inside. Almost knocked away, and the foul is on Sullivan. Pat Sullivan whistled by Tom Harrington. First on Sullivan, 5th team foul Carolina. Michigan should get the ball at the baseline. But right now, we're going to get another break in the action. So there's timeout on the floor. 7:49 to play in the first half, and we've got another tie score. Michigan's 10-point lead has evaporated. Carolina 25, Michigan 25. Timeouts at NCAA tournament games are long, and Coach Smith already had the Tar Heels back out on the floor, and he was spending a little time over in front of the scorer's table where Duke Athletic Director Tom Butters, the basketball committee chairman, former Virginia coach Terry Holland, now the Davidson Athletic Director, and a number of other committee members are seated. They were engaged in conversation, I'm sure, about the length of the timeout. And whatever Coach Smith was saying, the committee members were laughing.
He never stops coaching.
Jackson gets it over to King. King lobs it inside to Riley, gets it right back. He'll try to drive to the middle. Coach Smith down in the far end of the Carolina bench talking to his defense. Outside shot for 3 is good by Jimmy King. So Michigan has got 4 3-pointers tonight. King is a 41% shooter from that range and 6 of 13 in the NCAA tournament. Now make him 7 of 14. 28-25 Michigan. Sullivan to Phelps. Looks low for Montross. Will come top of the circle to Donald Williams. Williams against Jalen Rose to Sullivan on the right. Down low to Montross with Riley behind him. King helping out, doubling down. Cross-court pass comes to Williams. Now out to Phelps. Shot clock is down to 20. Salvadori. Pat Sullivan. Jump shot is good. Short jumper by Sullivan. His first bucket of the ball game. 28-27. Carolina down 1. Rose brings it timeline left side. Picks up his dribble. The bounce pass away to Jackson in the corner to Weber. Drives baseline. Montross is there. Weber underneath. Beats the Rose in the corner. Coach Smith trying to indicate that Weber was using the elbow to get people off of it. The King, the jumper from the corner. No good. They knock it away. Weber recovers. Gets it out to Jalen Rose. He calls the number 1 play for the gold-shirted Wolverines. To Jackson down inside to Weber. Knocked away. Recovered, however, by Jackson. Jackson along the wing in trouble, and 5 seconds closely guarded by Salvadori, and veteran assistant Bill Guthridge is up off the Carolina bench and punctuating the air with a right fist.
A great job off the ball by Sullivan and Phelps to anticipate the passing arteries that might be available and then tie them off quickly.
Steve Fisher pleading at the other end with Jim Stupin, the umpire, to no avail about that call. Carolina inbounds the ball. Lynch gets it to Phelps, and Coach Smith walks right to the edge of the coach's box and gives him the call. 6:15 left to play first half. Phelps working left side. Goes back to Lynch. Lynch looked off Rodel on the right to Reese. Now it comes to Phelps. Phelps looks down low for Montross to the baseline to Rodel. Cross court on the right side to Reese. He'll go to Lynch. Weber playing well off of him. Lynch in one step, then the jump shot. No good. Lynch follows up his own shot and lays it in. Weber just gave up on the play, and Lynch has got 8, and Carolina retakes the lead 29-28. Jackson holding high against the zone in the right corner. Bounce pass away now to King. King on the drive against Lynch. Lynch forces him back up the sideline. He turns, goes back to the baseline, dumps down low to Weber. Weber puts up the shot, no good. Rebounded by Lynch. Lynch gets the outlet to Phelps. Phelps pushes it front court on the left side. Bounce pass to Rodel. Works inside. Reverse layup is good by Henrik Rodel. 31-28 Carolina. And the Tar Heel fans are on their feet in the Superdome cheering, while the Wolverine fans have grown suddenly quiet. Rose down the left sideline to the middle. Blocked away Rodel. Knocked outside. Recovered Lynch. Here come the Heels on the run. Lynch down against Weber. Takes it in. Puts it up. No good. They knock it outside. Picked up by Jackson. King rather. King stolen by Derek Phelps before he could get across the timeline. Here's Phelps handing it off to Rodel. He fumbled it. Recovered at the baseline. Will shoot it to Montross. Now to Brian Reese. He works baseline. Hanging in the air. Shots up. No good. They knock it around. Out of bounds. Went off Carolina. Off George Lynch, and Brian Reese turns to Tom Harrington and pleads for a foul. Says they were hacking him on the arm is why that shot didn't go down.
Still a terrific flurry by the Tar Heel defense, and Derek Phelps with the steal in the open court, and Carolina hard on that offensive glass.
4:50 left to play first half. Rose against Phelps. Angle dribble. Left side. On the wing to Howard. Howard against Lynch. Trying to protect the ball. Now coming out front. Gets it to Jalen Rose on the right side against Phelps. Now he'll drive down to the baseline. Fall away shot is good. Left-handed Jalen Rose. Second field goal. 31-30 Carolina. 4.5 minutes left to play first half. Rodel down low to Montross. Lost the ball, went out of bounds, out off Weber, says Jim Stupin, the umpire, and it will belong to Carolina. Salvadori and Williams are coming back in. Phelps will get a break in the action, and Lynch will also go to the bench for a breather. Perry Watson, the assistant, Coach Jalen Rose at Southwestern High. In his second year as an assistant coach, he does an awful lot of the bench coaching for Michigan during the course of a game. He was actually standing for a while in front of the head coach. Donald Williams for 3. Short, off the rim. Loose ball, picked up in the lane, and Montross fell over Weber, or rather, over King, trying to get out of there. First personal foul, on Eric Montross. 6th team foul called against Carolina. I don't believe there will be free throws. They had the ball at the other end, thinking that we're this far into the first half, and surely it had to be the bonus already for Michigan, but it is not. They'll go back to the other end, and we'll play it off the baseline. That is the voice of umpire Tom Harrington telling Juwan Howard to stand on the spot. Howard's got to get the ball in. Did to King with Rodel hanging back to bother it. King will get it across the timeline now. Gets it to Weber, left wing against Montross, out to the middle. Picks up his dribble, drops it to Juwan Howard. Howard caught up in the double team to Weber, almost knocked away by Reese to King. Fakes Williams, too far underneath. Loose ball in the lane, recovered Weber off the glass, no good. Montross with a rebound, stolen and scored by King. Jimmy King scoops up the loose ball and gets his 7th point at the baseline. Reese outside to Rodel, takes the 3, no good. Reese with a rebound, and the reach-in is called on Jalen Rose. And that will be his first personal foul, and the 9th team foul on Michigan. A 1-and-1 coming for the Tar Heels with 3:42 left to play in the half. And what's coming in halftime, Mick Mixon?
Going to talk to Kenny Smith, former Tar Heel, and also we're going to get Eddie Fogler on the line, or try to anyway. Eddie's in the process of moving his family from Nashville to Columbia.
And I think had a news conference today in Nashville to talk about leaving the Commodores to go with the Gamecocks. Brian Reese at the free throw line. 2 for 2 tonight, making 3 of 3. 32-32, score tie. Brian Reese will have another shot. At the next opportunity, we'll pause for station identification down the line, so stand by. Brian Reese, a 66% free throw shooter, arches this one up, and it's good also. And Carolina retakes the lead. And as Eric Riley comes in, and we get another break in the action, let's pause quickly, 10 seconds for station identification, and then we'll get to our break. But you're listening to the NCAA Championship game, Carolina, Michigan, on the Tar Heel Sports Network. in Hawaii in late December. Both teams shot poorly in the first half, and then both teams shot 53.8% in the second half in that one-point Michigan victory. Bounce pass, Rose, down the sideline to King. King against Donald Williams, out front to Howard. Howard against Salvadori, whips a pass over to Jackson. Then it goes to Jalen Rose, dropped it off to Howard and got knocked away. Went out of bounds. Tom Harrington says off Howard, it's Carolina's ball. 3:23 to play first half. Carolina leading by 1. 10th Michigan turnover of the first half. Phelps just a step or two inside the front court, indicating the offense. Now he moves to set it up. Goes to Salvadori, top of the circle. Donald Williams against Jalen Rose. Now Donald Williams to the baseline, shooting on the move and scoring from about 10 feet away down that right baseline. Williams with 5, 35-32 Carolina. In the corner it goes, and we get a whistle and a foul called on Brian Reese of Carolina. He tried to stop the progress of Ray Jackson on the drive, and his whistle for his first 7th-team foul, so 1-1 coming for Michigan. Ray Jackson, of course, is the defensive stopper who missed 7 games after dislocating his left shoulder in the first minute of play against Carolina in that Rainbow Classic semifinal game. He's scoreless thus far tonight.
He's the son of a high school track coach. Donald Williams is one of the better on-the-move shooters that I've ever seen. A lot of jump shooters need their legs up under them. They need to land on the same spot they take off from in order to shoot well, not Donald.
Ray Jackson, who doesn't have a field goal in this ball game and is working on a streak of 5 double-figure scoring games in a row, gets his first point at the free throw line. 35-33. Next free throw is good. It's 35-34. And Ed Hightower, the referee, has stopped play, checking at the scorer's table. Coach Smith was hollering something down the sideline toward the scorer's table, and I don't know what it was, but everybody over there is laughing. I think he gets irritated when that horn is not blown quickly enough to get a substitute in the ball game. That may very well be what it was, although I don't believe anybody came in, did they, Mick?
No, and no one at the scorer's table.
Phelps coming back toward the middle against Jackson. He'll push it now, rather against King. He'll give it to Williams. Williams over to Brian Reese in the right corner. To Phelps, baseline, down inside to Montross. Caught in the double team, back out to Williams. Williams will push it to Brian Reese. Reese drives baseline. He can't get through. Jump pass to Phelps in the lane. Phelps puts it to the floor and falls away and scores with a left hand. Wow. Derek Phelps with 5, and it's 37-34 Carolina. 2:15 to play first half. Across the timeline, Rose on the left against Phelps. Right in the Carolina bench area. Wing pass to Jackson. Back out front to Rose. Goes by the Howard pick at the top of the circle. Now gets it to Rose. Loops it cross court to Jackson. Jackson's shot is up and no good. Rebounded by Howard. He hooks it up off Riley, rather. That's Eric Riley, not Juwan Howard, who hooked it off the right baseline and scored. 37-36. Michigan pulling back to within 1. Down low to Montross. Tried to lay it up and got fouled from behind by Jackson. Montross had gotten in behind the Michigan defense. Phelps spotted him, and when Jackson recovered, he thought he had a clean block, but he gets whistled for his 3rd personal foul and the 10th team foul against Michigan. Well, the Michigan fans are irate because Montross, in setting up at the low post, decked Eric Riley. I mean, just floored him when he ran into him. And that was why he got in behind the Michigan defense.
It's such a little thing, but to have the command of the basketball, to dribble with your head up and eyes open, even if you're being closely guarded, Derek Phelps has got the ability to see things like that. In a flash, Riley's down, Montross is open, and since Derek is looking up, he can deliver the ball.
Eric Montross, 4 of 4 on the night, 38-36. He is 43 of 56 at the free throw line of the NCAA tournament. And he gets the next one as well. Well, Matt Wenstrom is coming into the ball game. He saw action at the end very briefly on Saturday against Kansas. 39-36. Carolina back in the zone with Wenstrom in the middle. They needed to rest Montross for a while, and they leave Salvadori in the lineup. Out front, Williams and Phelps. Across the back, Sullivan, Wenstrom, and Salvadori. Rose gets the ball now to James Bosco, who's come in the game for the first time. Palinka to Rose. Shot from the corner. Went in. Popped out. Rebounded by Phelps. Here comes Carolina on the run. Phelps left side. The angle dribble to the top of the circle against Rose. Back to the left. Now to Wenstrom. To Sullivan. Sullivan puts it to the floor against Bosco. Got to get rid of it. Got it to Phelps near the midcourt line. Phelps well out on the right. Shot clock is at 30. Game clock's at 1:10 to play in the first half. Derek Derek Phelps working to the right side against Jalen Rose. Now to the sideline in front of a standing Steve Fisher. To Sullivan in the corner. He'll give it right back to Phelps. Shot clock's at 15. Here's Phelps right side. Bounce pass to Sullivan. They look for Salvadori. Now off to Donald Williams. Shooting on the move. Got it! A three from the right wing. Donald Williams, his second of the ball game. 42-36 with less than 40 seconds to play right now in the first half. There's about a 3 or 4 second differential with the shot clock. Rose whipping it baseline to Riley. Ball away, shot clock, Salvadori. Phelps scoops it up. Phelps cross court to Donald Williams. Williams left side. Picks up his dribble. Bounces inside. Salvadori stripped to the ball at the baseline. Went out of bounds off Michigan's Jalen Rose. It'll belong to Carolina with 20 seconds left in the half. 42-36 Carolina. The Tar Heels have not lost all year when leading at the half. Michigan, on the other hand, when trailing at the half, is 4-2.
This is such an important 20 seconds here, Woody, that the Tar Heels are bringing Eric Montross back off of the bench.
Tom Harrington hands Derek Phelps the ball at the baseline. He looks, they scatter, he gets in midcourt area to Salvadori. Shot clock is off. He'll push it away to Montross. Pelinka trying to deny Phelps the ball. Goes to Brian Reese. 13, 12, 11, 10 seconds. Brian Reese on the dribble drive to Phelps. He shoots the three. No good, too strong. Rebounded Howard with 6-5 off to Jalen Rose. Rose coming down on the right side, drives to the middle. Speeds Boston, he missed the shot. No good. And the teams head for the dressing room. Carolina led early on a couple of occasions by 5. Michigan went in front by 10 at the 11:28 mark. Carolina wiped that out and goes to the locker room ahead by 6.
All right, 20 minutes away from a victory, but it's going to be, well, you know what kind of 20 minutes is going to be, because you don't get to the national championship game by being faint of heart. Michigan, though, trailing by 8 points, or check it, 6 points at the break, 42-36. And as I'm talking here, I'm looking over my shoulder trying to make sure that our halftime guests can get to us. The NCAA enforces who can go where in a Gestapo-like manner, and they do a good job with security, but sometimes it makes it tough for us to get key people to you. Matt Doherty has stopped by our broadcast location here, and until they clamp the handcuffs on him and take him away, we better talk to him here for just a couple of moments. Matt, condolences first of all. It was a memorable game that KU and Carolina played here Saturday night.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. North Carolina played extremely well, obviously, and we were there, and we had a couple turnovers late in the game, but we were fortunate to be in the Final Four, and I'm hoping that North Carolina pulls this one out.
From an assistant coach's standpoint, Matt, what have you seen in half number one?
Well, I think the double teaming on Montross hurts Eric's production, but if we start kicking it out to, and I say we, like I'm a Tar Heel, and I am,
that's all right.
We kick it out to Donald Williams and hit some baskets, that may free that up a little bit. I think we haven't really gotten good looks at the basket yet. We're up, and I think that's a good sign. I think we got to do a better job rebounding, especially when Weber's in there, and it looked like we started to do that last 6 or 7 minutes of the half.
Matt, it looks like Eric's just got to be content to get all his points tonight at the foul line if that's what Michigan's going to force him to do.
Well, that, or he's got to make a quick move, because that double team's coming from the weak side quite often. So once he gets it, he can't hesitate. He needs to probably go to that jump hook, because they blocked that turnaround jumper a couple times. But Coach Smith knows a lot better than I do.
Kenny Smith is jabbing you here. He's in the on-deck circle to be our halftime guest, and a warm greeting just takes place between Matt and Kenny. How'd you like to have a Chris Webber or two to coach? He's unreal.
I tell you what, but the tough thing is that the expectations get out of hand, and the expectations for Michigan have been out of hand, and I think Coach Fisher has done a good job controlling that, and he's got the team to 2 Final Fours. So I saw a quote by Jimmy King saying that I hope I can underachieve like this the rest of my life, because they've been to 2 final games in their first 2 years, and so Coach Fisher deserves a lot of credit.
He does. He's kind of got that Casper Milquetoast personality, so people tend to think it's a team run by the players, but he is in charge, and at 17-2 in the NCAA tournament, he shouldn't have to prove his coaching ability to anybody. What might the halftime message by Coach Dean Smith be to his Tar Heels, Matt?
Well, I hate to even take a stab, but if it were me, I'd say, hey, we got to do a little bit better job rebounding. And Eric, if you get it, make a quick look to the basket, and they'll do a better job getting looks offensively. But you're up 6, and we're in great shape.
You got any good Kenny Smith stories?
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, we would have won another championship in '84 if Kenny didn't break his wrist.
I was going to say, in case you run the knife in him, he's on next, so it's going to be equal time.
All right.
Mick, good seeing you. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Matt Doherty, who was here, of course, as a player when the Tar Heels won it on this same floor in 1982. Stay tuned. We'll have Kenny Smith live at halftime when we continue from the Superdome. It's National Championship Monday, and at the break, it's the Tar Heels 42, Michigan 36. We're back here at halftime at the New Orleans Superdome. Mick Mixon alongside of Kenny Smith, the Houston Rockets guard. In fact, a guard for the first place Houston Rockets. Kenny, the ball club must be home, and Houston's not far from here. What, about a 4-hour drive or so?
Well, a 40-minute flight. I couldn't take the drive today. So I got on a plane after practice and definitely couldn't miss this one for the world.
Now, a big-time guard like you wouldn't be driving anyway, unless somebody was driving you. What were your thoughts on the first half, my friend?
Great first half. This is basically what I expected. Our defensive pressure is the best in the business. And over the years, I've seen some good Carolina teams defensively, but this is the best. And I think that was probably the difference between that's the 6-point difference, the turnovers.
How tough is it, Kenny, to sit there and not flinch every time Carolina gets the ball with what you'd do if you were in the game and play?
Oh, no question about it. It's tougher sitting in the stands than actually being on the court. And but I've been going with them all year, and they made me so happy throughout the year. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride, this magic carpet ride that they're letting all our North Carolina fans get on.
Kenny, I don't see much gray hair in that head of yours. Is that like Grecian formula working or something?
No, Matt Doherty. I left all the gray hair to Matt Doherty. I don't have any gray, and I'm not losing any yet. So I'm still young at heart.
Yeah, as long as you got something you can run a comb through, that's all that matters. Well, I bring that up because your career just keeps going and going. It'll look like you're with a team that doesn't appreciate your skills, and then you've shaken loose, got away from Atlanta. You're now in Houston and prospering.
Well, I think overall you have to, the biggest thing is stability brings out success, and we've had a great deal of stability in Houston, and I think now that's why we're playing a lot better, and we're trying to maybe one day get down to where this is the final game for us in the NBA, just like Carolina's doing here.
How important has it been, Kenny Smith, that Hakeem is now, he's signed and he's happy? It seems like a healthy Hakeem is a happy ball club.
No question. He's the difference, and when he's happy and he's playing well, he makes us one of the best ball teams in the NBA. So I think that's the biggest thing. But going back to the game right here, our big fella Montrose, I look for him to come through in the second half a little bit stronger on the offensive end, and I think that's going to be the difference.
Well, I hope so. He's got two people around him almost all the time. Yeah, sometimes three, and the Tar Heels are trying to do the same thing to Chris Webber. Well, Kenny, also wanted to ask you, too, about the Carolina connection, because it looks like, you, Matt Doherty, guys like that, y'all just get along so well. There's a rumor going around that Michael Jordan was going to be here, and then a rumor that he's not. Have you heard from MJ?
Well, I'm sitting next to his parents, and I don't think he's here, but I'm pretty sure they play tomorrow night, so it'd be tough to get a flight in from Chicago, but I'm sitting next to his parents, so he might. I haven't even asked him if he's coming. That was my last thought.
Yeah, well, you're looking good. It's great to see you, and cross your fingers and toes and everything else, and let's hope the second half turns out well.
Skill's going to pull us through. Skill's going to pull us through.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kenny.
All right,
Kenny Smith of the NBA's Houston Rockets with the Tar Heels up 42-36 at halftime. We're at halftime of the Superdome, and thanks for the company on National Championship night. Wherever you're listening tonight, we appreciate it, and hang on. 20 more minutes to come for the championship. Carolina individual scoring in half number one. Eric Montross with 3 rebounds, 2 of 6 field goal shooting, 5 of 5, however, from the foul line, 9 points. Donald Williams, 3 of 6 from the floor. He's got 8 points, 2 of 4 from three-point range. George Lynch has 6 important rebounds, 4 of 10 shooting, 8 points. Reese with 6 on 1 of 5 shooting. Derek Phelps has got 3 rebounds, shooting 2 of 4, 5 points. 2 for Pat Sullivan, 2 for Kevin Salvadori, and 2 also for Henrik Rodel. For Michigan, Chris Webber is the scoring leader with 9 points. Jimmy King has got 7. Palenka with 6. Howard with 5. Rose with 5. Jackson with 2. And Riley with 2. For the half, the Carolina team shooting 14 of 34, 41%, while Michigan is hitting on 13 of 29, 45%. The Wolverines hit 9 of their first 15, then only 4 of their last 14 shots. Turnovers are Carolina 10 and Michigan 3. And the Tar Heels are doing an excellent job from the foul line, getting on that line and then capitalizing. 12 of 13 from the foul line, 92%. Michigan 6 of 7, 86%. There have been only 2 free throws missed in 20 attempts. To 36 as Montross now has 11. Howard gets it over on the side to Jimmy King. King down low to Weber. Weber banks it off the glass, good from the low post. Chris Weber with his 11th point of the game. 44 to 38. Derek Phelps coming front court, bounces down low to Montross, spins the lane, hooks it up over the top of Weber, no good. Howard with a rebound. Now gets it out to Jackson. Jackson down the right side, goes in the corner to King. King spins to the baseline, drives, shoots on the move, and scores. Jimmy King for his 9th point. Right over the top of Derek Phelps that time. 44 to 40. Michigan cuts the Carolina lead quickly to 4. Michigan fans are coming to their feet here in the Superdome, trying to urge their gold-shirted Wolverines on. Williams gives it up to Phelps. Bounces down low to Reese. Ryan Reese into the lane. Leaning in, lost the ball. Recovered Michigan off to Jalen Rose. Down against Derek Phelps. Scoops it up. It wouldn't go. Rebounded, however, by Juwan Howard. He puts it up, no good. And George Lynch comes down with it. Lynch looking for the outlet. He'll get it to Derek Phelps. Michigan missed 2 crip shots that time. Here's Derek Phelps moving left side. In the corner it goes to Brian Reese. To Montross. Montross turning up off the glass. No good. And Reese follows up right down the lane. He was only 1 of 5 in the first half. And it is 46 to 40. Carolina matches its 6-point halftime lead. Jalen Rose on the drive through the lane. Feeds it off to Jackson, or King rather. King shot's no good. Knocked outside by Reese. Picked up by Lynch. Lynch will give it to Donald Williams. Left side. Donald cannot spot up for the long outside shot. To Phelps. To Montross. Flips it back out to Brian Reese. Reese top of the circle. Moving out on him now is Jackson. He'll give it up to Lynch on the wing. Down low to Phelps. Phelps spins baseline. Can't get through. Forced back outside. Goes inside to Montross. Up over the top of Weber. And he banks it off the glass. Good. Eric Montross. Now with 13, including 2 quick buckets here in the first 2 minutes of the second half. Lynch knocks it away on the low post pass intended for Howard, but he stepped on the inline out of bounds. And with that, the horn sounds. Pat Sullivan and Henrik Rodel are coming in as Brian Reese and Donald Williams go out for Carolina. Kevin Salvadori is also in for Montross. 17:45 remaining to be played in this championship game. Michigan here for the 2nd straight year, making its 2nd trip to the Final Four in successive years. Carolina here for a 2nd time in 3 years, but in the championship game for only the first time since 1982. A game that Carolina won over Georgetown right here in the Louisiana Superdome. Jalen Rose, high post to Juwan Howard. Winstrom on him, who just came in. Matt Winstrom and Salvadori, the 2 big guys in the lineup right now. Back to King, comes back to Rose, over to Jackson. Rose will get it right back. Now he gives it high post to Howard. Howard feeds it right back to Jalen Rose. Drives, baseline, shoots, scores, left-handed. Jalen Rose shooting on the move. He now has 7, and it's 48 to 42. Phelps front court for the Tar Heels to Rodel on the left wing in front of the Tar Heel bench. And we get a whistle and a foul called on Jalen Rose of Michigan off the ball as he was holding up Henrik Rodel. Rodel made the pass, started cutting through, and the foul on Rose is his 2nd first-team foul on Michigan. Jalen is the son of a former Providence College All-American and NBA guard Jimmy Walker. He's got a tattoo on his body. The boss is what's tattooed on there.
Kevin Salvadori taking the inbounds pass midcourt area to Phelps. Down inside to Winstrom. Winstrom against Weber. Spins back, started up with it, blocked by Weber. He gets it away to Jackson. Now intended for Rose. Rodel tried to make the steal and couldn't save it. At the sideline, right in front of the scorer's table, but what an effort by Rodel. And he gets wildly applauded by the Carolina fans in the Superdome. Williams is coming back along with Lynch and Montross. Boy, that was something. Goes to Winstrom at the low post, and he starts to post up on Chris Weber, the consensus All-American.
It's Matt's last game. He's not going to leave anything over there on the bench.
Jackson will inbound right in front of the scorer's table where it was knocked out of bounds by Rodel. Get it to Rose. Carolina's in the zone now, showing the point zone, 1-3-1. Jackson to Rose. Alley-oop, intercepted or knocked away Lynch. Trying to run it down, knocked away Weber, then off Carolina out of bounds. It'll belong to Michigan.
Well, great job by Lynch to anticipate that alley-oop and fight around Weber and jump up there to tap it.
Jackson inbounds the ball to Juwan Howard. Gets it inside to Weber. Weber moving on Rodel for the layup. Montross got there late from behind. Chris Webber, 11 points. 48-44, Carolina by 4. Rodel across the timeline, gets it to Lynch, coming right down the lane. He feeds Montross. Montross back out front to Rodel, to Sullivan. Sullivan gives it to Donald Williams, spots up, takes the jumper, good for 3. Donald Williams shooting as well on the move at this stage of the year than he has all year. Down low to Howard, moving inside, dumps it off to Jackson, and it's up and good. King rather than Jackson. 51-46, Carolina by 5. Rodel just now across the timeline against King. He'll go to Sullivan, down low to Montross, back out front to Williams. Williams against Rose, to Rodel, to Pat Sullivan, puts it to the floor, drives into the lane, tried to drop it to Montross, went out of bounds off Webber, and Webber hits the deck hard, and he's down. Chris Webber going down hard at the baseline, trying to get up, is on his knees, looked like he might have hit his head on the portable floor, and as he goes down, I think we get a break in the action. We do. Carolina leading by 5. Just under 16 minutes left to play in this NCAA championship game at the Louisiana Superdome. Right now he's on the bench being attended to by the Michigan trainer. He was run into by Pat Sullivan on Sullivan's drive, and as he went down, didn't appear that he took that hard a fall, but apparently must have hit his head on the portable playing floor. Phelps inbounds to Lynch out in the midcourt area. Carolina in possession of the ball with a 5-point lead. Phelps against Rose. Ball knocked away. Phelps recovers baseline. Dumps it back out to Reese. Quickly to George Lynch. Can't get the shot away against Riley. They feed Williams. Michigan getting on him quickly. Williams shooting a jump shot hanging. He dribbled in just right of the lane and made the hanging jump shot. Williams now with 13 points in the ball game, and it's 53-46 Carolina. Right over the top of Jalen Rose goes the pass caught by Jimmy King. I don't know if he was the intended receiver or not. Here's Jackson shooting from the outside for 2. Ray Jackson, that's his first field goal of the game, and he's averaging 9 per contest. Now has 4 points in the game. 53-48. Down low, whistle, and a travel called on Derek Phelps by referee Ed Hightower. Second turnover of the half by the Tar Heels. Carolina in the first half with only 3 turnovers. That's 5 for the game, and we get a whistle and a timeout taken by Juwan Howard at the baseline. Carolina was double teaming Jalen Rose on the inbound play in the backcourt. Howard couldn't get it in, and so Michigan has to burn one of its allotted 3 timeouts, causing a dead ball. With just over 15 minutes of playing time left in the championship game, and Carolina leading by 5 at the Louisiana Superdome. Howard gets it into Jalen Rose. Carolina was showing a 2-2-1 zone press, but they go right to man-to-man on the inbound. Jalen Rose getting past Phelps. He called for help. Jalen Rose to the baseline up off the glass, and it's good. Took it all the way on Phelps and then turned and said something to him as he starts back up the floor. 53-50, Michigan within 3. Reese, left wing to Donald Williams. Down inside to Lynch, fakes Webber, can't get the shot away. Pushes it back out to Donald Williams. Comes into the middle, can't get the shot away, needs some help. Got to get rid of it, stolen by Webber. Webber will get the dunk at the other end. And it is 53-52. Webber pulling himself up on the rim as he brings the Wolverines within 1. Coach Smith up off the Carolina bench now. He did not like that last turn of events. Derek Phelps, top of the circle against Rose, bounce it inside to Lynch. Ball knocked away, went out of bounds. It'll belong to Carolina, says umpire Tom Herring.
Well, it's the most curious thing. It is specifically in the rules that you're not to hang on the rim except to avoid injury, and you can't use it to gain additional elevation on your leap. The committee will address it next year, I'm sure.
Phelps out front against Jalen Rose, turns, goes to his left, kept the dribble alive to Brian Reese. Reese works against Jackson, out front to Williams. Now to Phelps. They look down low inside. Phelps to the baseline, lost control of it. Double team, bounced it up the sideline to Lynch. One dribble, then to Brian Reese. Now gets it to Derek Phelps. Phelps cutting to the middle. Feeds George Lynch, goes to Donald Williams. Loops it inside to Montross. Fumbled it, recovered, went up for the shot, and he got fouled by Jackson, and that's his 4th. Or wait a minute, let's be sure. Jackson was protesting, but he may have been protesting on behalf of a teammate. No, it is on Jackson, and it is his 4th. Second team foul against Michigan in the half. Jackson will go to the bench with 13:57 remaining to be played in the ball game. And Carolina leading by 1 as Montross goes to the stripe for the 4th time tonight. Converted a 3-point play and then has made 2 free throws on 2 other opportunities. First one is up and it is no good. Hit the back of the rim. First miss of the night. He'll have another one coming. In Hawaii, he had had one of his 7 double-doubles on the year against the Wolverines. 14 points, 10 rebounds. So did George Lynch. 12 points, 16 rebounds. He makes the next one. He's now got 14 points, and it's 54-52 Carolina. Jalen Rose just now across the timeline against Derek Phelps. Coming to the left side. Picks up his dribble now, looking inside for Juwan Howard. Goes to Pelinka. He pushes it down low to Weber. Lynch knocks it away, and Harrington calls the foul. Tom Harrington does on George Lynch. That's his third. First team foul Carolina, and Lynch is the first Tar Heel to get a third personal. Comes with 13:42 remaining to be played.
Can't believe they're going to be shot. No, there won't be shots here. It looked like it for a moment.
Rob Pelinka will inbound off the baseline for Michigan. Got to get it inbounds. Finally got it in the corner to Howard against George Lynch. Started up the sideline, keeping his dribble alive. Now picks it up, lobs it over the top of Derek Phelps to Chris Webber. Webber starts back down the sideline now, pushes it out front to King. King will try to drive on Rodel. Feeds Rose on the left side. High post to Howard. One dribble, jumper, block, Montross. Lynch is down with it. Double teamed in the backcourt. Got to get rid of it. Looped it to Rodel. Down the sideline on the left, it goes to Phelps. He'll pull up, give it to the trailing Rodel. He's open for three. It's no good. Rebounded by Weber. The outlet to Rose. Michigan can tie or take the lead with a three. Rose on the left side against Derek Phelps. Goes to Pelinka. Pelinka dumps down inside to Weber on the right. He turns, jump pass to Jimmy King. King will dribble into the left corner against Derek Phelps. Now starts to drive to the middle. Looped it off to Weber. Ball loose. Scooped up by Weber. No good. Followed by Howard. Is no good. Knocked out of bounds. And it went out of bounds off Montross. And Howard was going over Montross's back, and Montross was backing him out of there, and they exchanged words.
Looked like a good call on who the ball should belong to. Juwan Howard really jawboning in the direction of Eric Montross.
Lynch is out of the game now, along with Brian Reese, as Sullivan comes in with Salvadori. Pelinka will inbound from the baseline. 48-year-old Steve Fisher screaming at his point guard Jalen Rose as Michigan inbounds it. No doubt giving him the offense. Over to Pelinka, right side, 54-52, 12:40 to play. In the corner, down low to Riley, knocked away, recovered by King. King will give it to Rose, and King gets it right back. Drives the baseline, puts up the shot, forced it, no good. Salvadori comes up with a loose ball. Double teamed, he got it to Rodel. Rodel will put the ball to the floor, pushes it across the floor to Sullivan. He gets it to Phelps, drops it off to Sullivan. Short jump shot, no good. Rebounded by Weber. Carolina getting one shot, and if it doesn't go down, that's all. Rose, left side, in the corner to Pelinka. He comes back up the sideline on the dribble against Sullivan. Picks it up, now goes to Riley. Riley dropped his arm and moved on Montross, and the foul is called on Montross. Riley put a forearm into Montross's midsection to get him off of him, and then Montross bumped him right back and is charged with his second team foul against Carolina. Donald Williams is coming back for the Tar Heels, and Rodel will go out. It'll be Michigan's ball at the baseline. Juwan Howard, 0 for 2 in this half, 2 for 6 for the game. 54-52, Carolina holding on to that 2-point lead. 12:07 to play in the national championship game. Pelinka from Rose, left side, moves up the sideline. Phelps on him now. Bounce pass away to King. King to Rose, inside to Weber, moving on Montross, up for the shot, he missed it. Montross has got the rebound. Gets it away to Phelps. Phelps right side for Carolina, down, driving on Michigan, loops it up off the glass, and it's good.
Really?
Michigan was a little slow picking him up, and Phelps puts Carolina back in front by 4, 56-52. Riley down low to Weber. Weber spins baseline, lays it up. Carolina defender Donald Williams flattened on the play, but no foul. 17 for Weber. He averages 19. Michigan back within 2. Phelps will give it to Salvadori, to Sullivan. Montross calling for it down low with Riley on his back. Now to Williams, out high on the right. Bounces inside Montross. Turns, forced it up, it didn't go, and the foul is called on... No, it's on Eric Riley. Weber said, is that on me? Foul is on Eric Riley. It's his first and the third team foul against Michigan. Lynch is back, and Salvadori goes out. George Lynch is playing with 3 fouls.
Weber with the ball down low is automatic points. It hurts Chris that he's not a better free throw shooter because he is the consummate get on the line player.
Weber and Riley talking to Ed Hightower about that call as they have the inside space on the free throw lane with Montross going to the line. Juwan Howard is back and Riley goes out. Howard will come over and no, he's not going to tell him anything. They're just going to swap sides. Howard wants a low spot on the right. Weber will move over, low spot on the left. Montross, 6 of 7 at the foul line tonight. First free throw is up and no good. Front of the rim. He's missed 2 of his last 3. It remains 56-54. Another shot coming for the second team Associated Press All-America. Montross eyes the front of the rim. Arches this one up and it is no good. Fell out of there, rebounded by Weber. He's missed 3 of his last 4 here in the second half. 56-54. Carolina by 2. Michigan with a chance to tie or maybe even take the lead. Rose picks up his dribble right wing against Derek Phelps. Gives it to Pelinka, coming to get the ball. He hands it right back off to Rose. Rose to the top of the circle. Reese playing well off of him, dribbling left. Off it goes to King. He takes the shot, no good. Rebounded by Phelps. Weber fell into him. Loose ball. Pelinka picks it up. Loops it to Jalen Rose. Rose well out on the right, driving by Donald Williams down the sideline, back to Howard. Howard calling Rose to him. Montross tightens up. He'll just send a half bit off to Jalen Rose. Look away pass to Weber, out of bounds off Weber. Not very often that they catch each other by surprise, but I think he did that time, plus he threw it behind him. First turnover of the half for Michigan.
Michigan's big people are excellent passers. Weber and Howard, both good passers from the pivot at the high, medium, and the low post, and they look for each other frequently.
10:30 to play in the championship game. 56-54 Carolina. Phelps gets it to Reese. Reese holds it high against Pelinka. Looks into his midsection. Weak side pass to Phelps. He circles around, comes back on the right side to Donald Williams. King's got the defensive job on him. Phelps has it knocked away by King. This will tie the score for Michigan. Slammed by Jimmy King. Boy, he took it way out in that right hand for his 13th point. That ties the score at 56 with 10 minutes to play, and the Michigan fans are on their feet. The Wolverines have wiped out a 6-point Carolina halftime lead. Williams right wing against King to the top of the circle. Looking inside. Player knocked down off the ball. It was Phelps to Salvadori on the right. Hands it off to Reese. Now Lynch gives it back to Phelps on the left side. Phelps against Jalen Rose. He'll give it to George Lynch. Jump shot. Foul line is good over the top of Weber. George Lynch's first field goal of the second half. He's got 10 points. 58-56 Carolina. Rose to Juwan Howard. Lynch on him defensively. Howard using his backside to get Lynch off of him. To Rose, he loops it right back to Howard. Off it goes now to King. King spinning away from Phelps. Down low to Weber. Got by Salvadori. Reverse layup is good. Score tied. Weber with 19. 58-58. 9-10 to play. Phelps down on the left side to the trailing Salvadori. Now to Brian Reese. Reese looked inside, couldn't make the play. Dribbles it back out front. Michigan's defense really playing hard on the perimeter now, trying to deny Carolina outside shot. Williams gets it on the right side to the baseline. Hanging in the air. Shot is no good. Howard had it. Lost it to Pelinka. He was not on the end line. He saved it to Rose. Michigan can lead. Rose down the left side. Keeps the dribble alive. Michigan sets up offensively to Pelinka. Pelinka dribbles across the top of the circle to the right wing. Bounces it to King in the corner. King up the sideline. Gives it to Howard. Alley-oop to Weber for the dunk. Weber with 21. Michigan leads 60-58. Donald Williams has flashed the tired signal to the Carolina bench. Phelps sets up the Carolina offense with 8:20 to play in the ball game. Phelps top of the circle against Jalen Rose. Over to Brian Reese on the left side. Pushes it low to Lynch. Trying to spin away. Gets it to Derek Phelps. Phelps faking Howard. Can't get away the shot. Lynch coming out front. He'll get the ball. Look down low. Goes to Brian Reese. Reese takes the shot. No good. Rebounded by Weber. Weber dumps it over the top of Lynch to Rose. Michigan with the lead in the ball. Rose on the drive to the baseline. Puts it in the corner to King. King can't get away from Derek Phelps. Crowd thought he walked with it. Pelinka fakes. Gets it to Rose. Shot from the corner. No good. Rebounded by Weber. Up against Lynch. He threw it right over the top of the rim. Rebounded Reese out to Williams on the right side. Donald spots up for 3. Got it. Carolina back in front on Williams' fourth three-pointer of the night in 5 attempts. 61-60 Carolina. 7.5 minutes to play. Rose across the timeline. Bounces it to Weber near the midcourt line. Weber trying to get around Salvadori. Moves to the right of the circle. Underhands it to King on the left. Now to Howard. Howard fakes Lynch. Leans into him in the lane. Gets it away now to King on the left side. King, the lane clog, will move back up the left sideline. Now against Derek Phelps, trying to drive to the middle. Is there, pushes it back to Palinka. He fakes Donald Williams in a step to Juwan Howard. Jump shot is good by Juwan Howard. Michigan leads 62-61. Juwan Howard with 7. Phelps down the left sideline for Carolina, and Carolina will use a timeout. It's the first of the ball game for the Tar Heels. So with timeout on the floor, 6:50 to play. 11 years ago, we were just about through when this final score was on the board, but we still got 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go. With a score, Michigan 62, Carolina 61. As Cherry, Rodel, Sullivan, Montross, and Salvadori come back out on the floor. Michigan will send out Bosco, Riley, Howard, King, and Rose. Michigan also resting some players for that stretch run. Rodel inbounds the ball in the backcourt to Scott Cherry. The Boston Spa New York senior will bring it front court. Bounces it to Rodel on the right side to Sullivan. Now down to Cherry. Cherry coming left to the lane. Back out front to Rodel. Rodel moving to the left. Dumps it back to Salvadori. Now to Sullivan. Now gets it away to Rodel. Rodel yells out something to his teammates as he passes to Cherry to Salvadori. Left side to Sullivan. In the corner now to Rodel. Back to Scott Cherry. Off to Salvadori. To Sullivan. Ball moving now. They're trying to make the Michigan defense work. Montross double team low post. Sullivan across the top of the defense to Cherry. Cherry pushes it back out front to Rodel. He almost got caught left of the lane. Sullivan off to Rodel. Shot clock is 3. Rodel forces it up. It will not go. Tapped outside. It never hit the rim. Shot clock violation. Michigan's ball.
Now, with that lineup in the game, Carolina, you could anticipate, was going to try to move the ball around quickly, make Michigan work defensively, and then get it into Montross. But when the shot clock was winding down and Carolina tried to get it into Eric, Michigan brought 2 people over. Montross had nothing there, kicked it out, and then Rodel couldn't find it.
Cherry's out, Phelps is back in, Rodel goes out, and Williams comes back in. 62-61, Michigan, 6:06 to play in the game. Carolina has led early in this half by as many as 7 at 51-44. The Tar Heels jumped out in front by 5 early. Then Michigan recovered, went up by 10. Carolina wiped that out and led by 6 at the break. Inbounds knocked away. Carolina, still Michigan basketball. Juwan Howard handles the inbounds pass against Salvadori. Sullivan coming backcourt to help Phelps. Phelps is fronting Chris Webber now on the inbounds. Webber made the catch. Phelps swiping at the ball. Can't knock it away. He hangs in the backcourt. Webber got it to Howard. Now to Rose, right side. Rose will give it down the sideline now to Bosco. Bosco against Sullivan. Puts the ball to the floor. In a little bit of trouble. Got it to Webber. Well out on the right. He turned and looked at Ed Hightower, the referee, said something to him. Dribbles right by the Michigan bench. Almost threw it right by Bosco. He runs it down up the right sideline. Now to King in the midcourt area. Shot clock is at 20, game clock at 5:40 and running down. Michigan with a 1-point lead. Now comes to Howard up high to Bosco over on the left side. Bosco looks low for King, feeds Jalen Rose. He shoots the outside 3 and it's good. What a big 3-pointer by Jalen Rose. His second of the ball game, he's got 12. 65-61, a 4-point Michigan lead. To Montross, over to Donald Williams. He looks low for Salvadori. Goes to Sullivan. Sullivan holds it high. Now looks left, gives it up to Phelps on the left wing. Comes now back to Williams against Michigan's man-to-man. Williams trying to use a Sullivan pick, cannot. Gets it away now to Phelps, back out in the midcourt area. Jalen Rose playing well off of him. Phelps yelling out the offense. He wants Sullivan on the right side. Setting it up now against Jalen Rose. Shot clock's at 15. To Sullivan. Sullivan against Bosco. Foul line. Goes in the corner to Donald Williams. Baseline hanging in the air. Shot's good. Donald Williams knocks in a 2-pointer. 65-63 Michigan. 4:40 to play.
Heels need to stop here.
Jalen Rose knocked away by Phelps, recovered by Sullivan. Sullivan dribbles it away, gets it to Phelps, and it got away from him out of bounds. Phelps took his eye off of it. And Dean Smith just stares at the roof of the Superdome and looks away in frustration. Coming back in, George Lynch and Brian Reese. Bosco is out for Michigan, and Jackson with 4 personals back in for the Wolverines.
George Lynch clapping his hands, talking to his teammates, trying to get them fired up.
6 turnover of the half by Carolina. Tar Heels in the first half, by the way, had but 3. Jalen Rose, right side against Phelps. Howard trying to get by Lynch to King, left side. King to the baseline. Jump shot from there is good. Jimmy King with a big bucket. That is his 15th point of the game, and it's 67-63, back to a 4-point Michigan lead. Heels front court. Phelps wants motion off the ball. Tar Heel fans are coming to their feet behind us. The Michigan fans across the court trying to make a lot of noise. Phelps caught up by Rose on the wing to Lynch, to Williams, now to Reese. Down low to Montross. Montross back out to Phelps. Over to Donald Williams. Jump, shoots the three. Good! Donald Williams with another big three. That's his 5th of the night. 3rd of the second half. Carolina within 1. Jalen Rose giving it up to Jackson. Jackson puts it to the floor against Brian Reese. Moving out in the midcourt area, trying to drive on it. Puts it inside to Rose. He fumbled it, coming up the left sideline. Bounced it to Juwan Howard. Howard off to Jackson. In the corner to King. He shoots from there. No good. Williams trying to run it down. Cannot against Juwan Howard. Got it off to Jackson. Jackson will push it right back to King. King to the baseline. Up in the air. No good. Knocked away. Lynch recovered Montross. Outlet to Reese. Reese will give it up to the breaking Derek Phelps. Layup is good. It rolled off the left side of the rim, and Carolina retakes the lead at 68-67. Point number 9 for Phelps. 3:04 left to play in the ball game. Jalen Rose left side. Phelps and Montross on the double team. To Howard. To King. He shoots the three. No good. It was an air ball. Weber tried to save it right into Donald Williams' hand. He'll give it up to Phelps. Phelps looking for Reese. He couldn't get him the ball as he was breaking down court underneath. Phelps out front on the right side. Jalen Rose stalks him. Now Phelps will move out into the center jump circle. Indicates the Carolina offense with 2:40 left to play in the ball game. Carolina holding a 1-point lead. To George Lynch, left side. Now Lynch will move to the right, hits Reese on the wing. And we get a whistle and a timeout called by Carolina. The Tar Heels call their second timeout. 2:28 to play. Timeout on the floor. Oh, my. Go where you go and do what you do. It's that time. Carolina 68, Michigan 67.
You're listening to Carolina basketball on WWMG, Shelby, Charlotte.
Rudel to inbound the ball. Gets it in the backcourt to Derek Phelps. Carolina with a 1-point lead. 2:25 to go. Walks it across the timeline. Let's see what the veteran Tar Heel coach might have called or set up during that timeout. Down low to Montross. Montross with Weber behind him to Rudel. To Sullivan. To Lynch. George Lynch with Howard behind him. Turns in the lane. Falls away and scores. George Lynch with only his second field goal of the second half. 70-67, Carolina by 3. Rose to Howard, left side for Michigan. Back out front it comes to Rose. Coach Smith up motioning to his defense to get back. Jackson giving it up to King. Way over in the right corner it goes to Rose. Rose one dribble, then to Jackson. Jackson down low to Weber. Weber double team, whistle, and what was called? A foul on Pat Sullivan of Carolina. Sullivan commits the personal foul. And that will be his second, and that's the 3rd team foul. Michigan will get the ball at the baseline. Team fouls, 3 Michigan, 3 Carolina. And now getting that ball in bounds becomes of primary importance.
Like it was for the Tar Heels after they called a timeout and Michigan could set their defense. Fouling Weber when he's got it on the blocks with only 3 team fouls on Carolina is not a bad idea. He doesn't shoot free throws well, and you can't let him shoot from there.
Reese and Williams back in. Ball went to King. He loops it up to Juwan Howard. Over the top of him to Rose. Rose against Phelps. Steve Fisher says go left with it, and Rose obeys on the dribble. Bounces it back out front now to King. King matched up against Williams. Inside to Jackson. Now to Jalen Rose. Rose into the lane. Inside. Ball lost. Loose basketball, and Carolina comes up with it. Donald Williams out of there on the dribble. Williams with a steal. Got it to Derek Phelps, and Jalen Rose trips him up. 1:18 to play, and the Tar Heels leading by 3. Phelps slow to get up. Foul on Jalen Rose is his 3rd. 4th team foul. Carolina will have the ball out of bounds, and Michigan will use its second timeout. The Wolverines calling for a timeout. 1:18 to play. Superdome. Timeout on the floor. Carolina 70, Michigan 67. Donald Williams will inbound the ball against Jalen Rose. George Lynch gets it in the front court. He moves against Juwan Howard, and Howard fouls him. That's number 3 on the Chicago sophomore. 5th team foul against Michigan. Michigan will work hard now to the free throw line. And there still are a couple of fouls to give. Now Rodel's in to replace Williams. Rodel will inbound against Jalen Rose. Rodel holds it, looking, pushes it to George Lynch. He loops it cross court to Montross. He'll give it back out front to Phelps. And Phelps is fouled by Michael Talley, and that's 6th team foul. Foul on Talley becomes his first. So the next one will put Carolina in the bonus with 1:10 to play, and Carolina has still got 3 fouls to give.
Correct. That was an 8-second possession by Carolina.
Well, now Coach Smith is motioning something to Donald Williams, who sets up on the right side as Brian Reese will inbound right in front of the scorer's table. Powell will put the Tar Heels at the line. In Hightower, the referee hands Brian Reese the basketball. Williams cutting. Brian Reese got to get rid of it. He goes deep in the backcourt to Derek Phelps. Phelps against Chris Webber. Knocked away by Webber, out of bounds. It'll be Carolina ball. 1:05 remaining to play. Carolina 70, Michigan 67. Steve Fisher up indicating the defense he wants the Wolverines to employ here on this inbounds play. Reese will inbound the basketball. Got to get rid of it. Finally got it to Lynch. Lynch streaking front court. Will turn toward the left sideline. Drops it off to Montross with a dunk behind Juwan Howard. What a play by the Tar Heels. 16 for Montross, 72-67. Jalen Rose to Howard. Right side to King. Off it goes to Jackson and his two-pointer. It's a two-pointer, not a three, and Michigan uses its last timeout. Ray Jackson on the basket, and so a timeout on the floor, 46 seconds left. Carolina 72, Michigan 69.
Ray Jackson hits a 2. That makes it a 3-point game. Michigan is out of timeouts. Possession arrow still favors them, and 46 seconds remain. It'll be Carolina ball.
Officials immediately motioned to the scoreboard, counted it a 3. It had gone to 72-70. Ed Hightower went immediately to the table. It was changed to a 2, 72-69.
And if you want to see highlights of this game, watch the Dean Smith television show this coming Sunday statewide on affiliates like WBT Charlotte and WECT Wilmington, NCT in Greenville, TVD Raleigh-Durham, HNS Asheville, and GHP in the Triad.
George Lynch will inbound off the baseline in the Tar Heel backcourt. 46 seconds remain, 72-69. Webber will play Lynch. He runs the baseline, trying to get it in. Got it into Brian Reese, and he traveled with it. The sideline, Brian Reese turns it over for Carolina. And George Lynch simply points a finger to his right temple, indicating to his teammate, Brian, you need to think. Think of where you are and what the situation is. Salvador is in. Montross is out. Rodel is in. Williams goes out. Malinka will inbound the ball. Carolina, remember, has 3 fouls to give. 45 seconds left, 72-69. Carolina leading by 3. Reese is out. Sullivan is in.
Yeah, I think one thing they're doing is getting some players in the game that they can use to foul.
Carolina packed back inside. Here's Rose for 3. No good. They battle for it. Webber with the stick back. 72-71. Lynch running the baseline. Got it inbounds to Sullivan. He gets it now to Salvador. Away now to Rodel. Rodel down on the left side. Will come back out front with 25 seconds left. Lynch, Phelps to Sullivan. Sullivan in trouble, and he gets hammered by Palinka. Rodel wanted an intentional foul from Jim Stupid and Ed Hightower, but didn't get it. So Pat Sullivan, a 79.7% free throw shooter, will go to the line on Michigan's 7th team foul.
Remember, the Wolverines are out of timeout, not ice him. The only 2 spots on the lane that must be occupied, 2 inside spots. Michigan will, of course, get those. The thing the Tar Heels don't want to do here, obviously, if there's a miss, they'd like to get the rebound, but they do not want to foul the Wolverines.
Pat Sullivan, the junior from Bogota, New Jersey, at the foul line. 1 of 2 from the field tonight for 2 points. Ed Hightower making sure both sides of the lane understand 1 and 1. 20 seconds left to play. Sullivan given the ball. Couple of dribbles. Bends his knees. Pushes it.
Dean Smith gave it to just the clinch fit, little thrust after that one went in. Sullivan is an excellent free throw shooter.
70-71 to the edge of the coach's box. Montross waiting to get in if this free throw is good. 20 seconds remain. Sullivan shooting to give Carolina a 3-point lead. Sullivan's free throw is no good. Rebounded by Webber. Michigan out of timeout. And Webber, front court, Carolina thought he'd travel with it. Webber, court, Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul on Michigan. They're out of timeouts. They're out of timeouts. It's a technical foul. 2
a timeout, but it is at the expense of a technical foul. It's not over yet.
Carolina bench erupted when Weber had the ball in the backcourt, thinking he had traveled, trying to get front court on the dribble. Donald Williams will go to the foul line, and Coach Smith wants everybody except Williams to come, and now he wants Donald. He says, Donald, come here.
Yeah, it's not over. This game is not over yet. Carolina with a 2-point lead, and they need 2 free throws to really make things feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they need to make 2 free throws here and get the ball in bounds. It will be possession of the ball to Carolina. Chris Weber trapped down in the right corner, calling a timeout when Michigan didn't have one left. And now Carolina uses its last timeout. So there's, well, what do you think, Mick? Let's stay at the Superdome.
Yeah, let's stay.
Yeah. 11 seconds remain. Carolina 73, Michigan 71.
Well, the Tar Heels will have their best foul shooter at the line in Donald Williams. And they do not want to.
Carolina had led by 7 in this half early on at 51-44 after wiping out a 10-point deficit in the first half. Then the Tar Heels trailed by 4 at 67-63, but then went on a run to retake the lead. And it is now a 70-71 team fouls for Carolina.
They went on an 11-4 run to get the lead.
They're coming by now to collect the NCAA All-Tournament team for the Final Four, on which is also written a most outstanding play. You know who I voted for? Well, Donald Williams, Chris Weber, and Jalen Rose.
Same, except for, I think I put Lynch on instead of Rose, and I voted for Donald Williams as the most valuable player of the tournament.
So did I. 11 seconds remain.
All right, here's what's getting ready to happen. The free throw, the administration of the free throw, there will be no players from either team in the lane. So Donald will be all by himself for 2. If he makes it, if he makes 2, then all the Tar Heels have to do is inbound the ball, and they're in pretty good shape. If he makes both, it'll be a 2-possession game at that point, a 4-point game. Michigan would need to score twice in 11 seconds in order to win it. And they'd need a turnover. They'd need to steal it away from Carolina to do so. Here we go.
Williams, first time at the foul line. He's 8 of 12 on the night, 5 of 7 three-pointers. He has set a Final Four record for three-pointers. The Garner sophomore arches it up. Good! With 22 points, his 4th straight game of better than 20-point scoring. This could make it a 4-point lead. 75-71. The guy who averaged only 4 minutes a game last year and scored but 2 points a game. Lynch will inbound for Carolina. Got it into Donald Williams. Williams gets fouled on the play by Weber. Third personal against Weber. 8th team foul Carolina. Williams is back to the line with 8 seconds remaining. This could put it away and make the Tar Heels the national champions. But they're still left.
Yeah, and the fact it hasn't erupted yet is out of respect for Michigan. They can score points in a hurry, but the Tar Heels are, you'd a whole lot rather be Carolina right now than you would be Michigan.
Carolina will just get out of the way as Donald Williams goes back to the line. 23 points tonight for the Garner sophomore, who came into the game averaging 14 points. Against Kansas on Saturday, 7 of 11 shooting for 25 points. In the first meeting between these two teams in Hawaii, he went 4 of 11 for 15 points, made 2 of 6 three-pointers. Donald Williams' free throw is good. 76-71. And the party is ready to begin on Franklin Street. 8 seconds remaining. Bill Ford and Randy Wheeler beside themselves on the Carolina bench. They're both good. I mean, all of them were cleanly through. 77-71. Carolina will just get out of the way. Jalen Rose for 3. No good. Front of the rim. Lynch with the rebound. Outlet to Phelps. It's over. Carolina. The Tar Heels have won in New Orleans. Carolina 77. Michigan 71. And who said Dean Smith wouldn't win the big one again?
I know that I have to say something but I hardly know what to say, except for the fact that Carolina is the national champion, 77-71, and tomorrow both teams will fly home. The Tar Heel plane will be so giddy and boisterous that it'll barely need wings and engines. And the Michigan plane will transport young hearts heavy with disappointment and thoughts of what it would feel like had the outcome been different. Many big Tar Heels, many heroes tonight, possibly none bigger than Donald Williams. We have information for you, travel plans, interviews on our post-game show. Stay where you are. Right now, Sabrina Smith is live on Franklin Street for a quick update of what downtown Chapel Hill is like on the night that the Tar Heels won it all. Sabrina?
Nick, let me just let you hear the crowd for a second. Nick, you said you were at loss for words. I think a lot of people here are at loss for words. They're running up. They're raising one index finger in the air and saying, we're number one. And they're coming in from all directions. Police had the street blocked off way ahead of time from the intersection in front of Spanky's Restaurant all the way down to the Chapel Hill Library. And I was standing at Subway during the final seconds of the game, as were all of the Chapel Hill police, I believe. And as soon as the final buzzer sounded, they all ran to their posts.
You wonder, Sabrina, you wonder what it might feel like to experience a season like this and a game like this. And when it's finally upon you, it takes a while for everything to sink. Woody Durham is standing alongside John Swafford and Paul Harden. Woody, it's all yours.
Chancellor, we'll have to get you to predict more outcomes. You were positive at the outset. You said it would be done. Now, don't tell me you didn't have any doubts, because I sure did, but what a
Woody,
game.
I'm not superstitious, and I predicted to win because I felt like these young men have character, and they showed it tonight. Wonderful, wonderful victory.
Not losing their poise at all. Down 10 in the first half, down 4 in the second half.
Right, and they kept coming back, played very steady basketball. Very proud of the coaches, very proud of these players.
And John Swafford, the Carolina Athletic Director, is here. John, you got a big party planned tomorrow afternoon, don't you?
What do we do at 5 o'clock in Keenan Stadium? The team should be arriving at Raleigh-Durham Airport about 4 o'clock. And the team and band and cheerleaders are all on the same charter. And the idea is to bring them to Red Stadium, and a guy named Woody Durham will MC the celebration and give our fans an opportunity to welcome the national champions back to Chapel Hill. We did it in Keenan in '82 after coming out of New Orleans, and we'll be doing it again. If the weather is bad, we may move it to the Smith Center, but we decided to go ahead with Keenan because
you get more people
we think we can have more people there, and we try to do it late enough so that kids that are in school can get out of school and be there also.
And John, I hope somebody, as they did in '82, will put that score up on the scoreboard in Keenan Stadium, 77-71. John, in '82, I felt a tremendous sense of relief when it ended. Tonight, I'm just pretty darn happy.
I am too, Woody. I know what you mean. The feeling's a little different, but just as great. What a phenomenal thing for these players and Dean and his staff and our fans who have been so great the entire year. Terrific thing for the University of North Carolina.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chancellor. They want to get out on the floor to shake the hand of Coach Smith and the players. Nick, we're going to work our way back to the media room, but somewhere, I think around here, there are some former players that maybe we can get a microphone to, because you know what? We talk all the time about the Carolina basketball family, and there are a lot of former players tonight who are ecstatic over this for the 62-year-old guy from Topeka, Kansas.
Absolutely, and it's a type of thing where those former players, this is their championship too in a very big way, because Carolina basketball didn't just all of a sudden get good. It took a lot of hard work and a lot of players to maintain the remarkable momentum the Tar Heels have had in the sport of round ball over the years. And so to everybody that's ever been a part of it, from the managers to the substitutes to the heroes of yesterday and of tomorrow, this national championship is going to be shared by you all. Carolina in the second half, and as I said, this second half will be remembered, I think, by the historians as one of the top 20 minutes of NCAA tournament basketball ever played. Carolina shot 62%, 13 of 21, 3 of 5 from three-point range, 60%, 6 of 10 from the foul line, 7 turnovers. Michigan did not get on the foul line in the second half. We told you in our pregame show, free throws were going to be a big key, and indeed they were. For the game, Carolina 18 of 23 from the foul line, 78%. Michigan 6 of 7 from the foul line, 86%. That's Michigan for the entire game, only shooting 7 free throws. They hit 6. With a former Tar Heel, here's Woody Durham.
Well, he took the Tar Heels under Dean Smith to 3 consecutive Final Fours back in the late 60s. And, Rusty, your name was very much in conversation yesterday when Coach Smith said that Montross is the first center to rotate inside, just like you did years and years ago, rather than outside.
Well, he's a great player, and this is a great win for the Heels. I'm really happy for Coach Smith.
You know, we said a moment ago that so many former players are here tonight, and you just said that for all of them. You guys sharing this as much as anybody current member of the basketball team.
Oh, of course. Great. It's a great victory for the whole team. Certainly is, and the whole university.
What'd you think of the performance down the stretch?
Oh, great. Clutch performance. Really good.
No one player had to step up. The whole team stepped up. But I think that Donald Williams may be the most outstanding player of this Final Four.
He is Mr. Clutch.
Thank you. That's Dr. Franklin Clark, Mick. Everybody remembers him as Rusty Clark. Coach Smith said once upon a time, if I hadn't recruited him out of Fayetteville, I might have lost my job.
And, you know, every coach will tell you that it's a player's game and you need good players in order to be a good coach. And Rusty Clark was one of the key recruits who helped turn Carolina basketball around. This seems like as good a time as any to pause for our first 2-minute break of our post-game show, The Locker Room Scoreboard. On the floor right now, on a podium that has just been taken out there, the Tar Heels are mugging for the cameras, swaying from side to side in national championship caps and also white T-shirts.
He's got on a T-shirt and cap. Serge Zwicker.
Yeah, there may be even one for Dean Edward Smith down there somewhere. So come on back with us when we continue with the Happy Locker Room Scoreboard with the final score from the Crescent City. Carolina 77, Michigan 71. Back here, 77-71. Carolina wins a national championship. Here's Tom Butters with the presentation.
NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee. I first would like to congratulate both ball clubs, not only for their excellent play tonight, but throughout the tournament. And now it's my pleasure to present the national championship trophy to Coach Smith and the University of North Carolina. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Carolina coach Dean Smith, who ironically got handed the trophy from the athletic director at Carolina's arch rival Duke University. As you heard Coach Smith say, he wanted the seniors. He wanted the seniors to hold that trophy first. Woody's with the coach. Woody.
Coach, 11 years ago, I felt a great sense of relief. Now I just feel happy.
I'm very happy. I'm very pleased for our team. I thought we played very well, and Michigan played very well. They missed some easy baskets, but we made some of the tough ones. But overall, we're just excited about a win over an outstanding Michigan team.
Coach, again, tremendous poise at a lot of stages during the game.
I thought we had a lot of poise, and we had to have. Michigan really was primed, and fortunately, our players are competitors, and even when we got down, they hung in there, and Donald Williams had the great shooting.
Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Coach Dean Smith on his second national championship as the Tar Heels beat the Wolverines 77-71. And Mick, remember last week at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, they said they were going to wait and cut the nets down in the Louisiana Superdome, and that's exactly what they're doing.
And you would expect Carolina to cut the nets down in an unselfish way, and that's what they're doing. Everyone gingerly climbing up the ladder and just taking one strand at a time. It looks like Scott Cherry, who is now sawing away with that gleaming pair of scissors. And now Scott Cherry turns and holds his arms up, both arms triumphantly toward the Carolina crowd, which obviously has not gone anywhere. And there are thousands upon thousands of Tar Heel fans here cheering the Tar Heels on after the 77-71 national championship victory. Tar Heels due back home tomorrow, and you shouldn't worry about the airport or anything like that. Just go to Kenan Stadium, because that's where it'll be set up for you to get your best view of the national champions. 5 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, Kenan Stadium. Woody Durham will MC it for you. Making the right moves in a game requires quick thinking. You can't think fast or move fast without a clear head. If you use drugs, make the right move, and the smart move, ask for help and try to stop. Do not use drugs. That is a message from the NCAA. Another double-double for George Lynch, 12 points and 10 rebounds. Lynch finishes with a total of 12 points, but Donald Williams was the man. 25 points for DW on 8 of 12 shooting, 5 of 7 from three-point range, and a pressure 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Woody Durham is baseline right near where the Tar Heels are cutting down the nets, and has got something to add. Woody?
Mick, while you were reading those statistics, the ladder is underneath the net here in the end zone. If you're wondering why we don't move out and get in the midst of this, because of NCAA security and post-game regulations. But Eric Montross came up. It was his turn. He moved the ladder out of the way and pulled the net down and cut one little strand right off the bottom of the net, almost as if that was pre-planned. He knew that was the part of the net he wanted.
Eric doesn't need a ladder. He can just reach up there anyway and snip a strand or two for himself. So for the Tar Heels, Donald Williams with 25, Eric Montross with 16 points on 5 of 11 shooting, but he was a big 6 of 9 from the foul line. He had 5 rebounds. Lynch with the 10 rebounds, 6 of 12 from the floor, 12 points. Derek Phelps with a 4 of 6 shooting day, 9 points. Brian Reese had 5 rebounds, 2 of 7 shooting, and 8 total points. Salvadori had 4 rebounds, 2 points. Sullivan with a 1 of 2 shooting evening, and he was 1 of 2 also from the foul line, 3 points, and Henrik Rodel shot 1 of 4 for 2 points. 77 for Carolina, 71 for Michigan. The Wolverines individual scoring, Chris Webber with 11 rebounds, 11 of 18 shooting, 23 points. It was Jimmy King, 6 of 13, 15 points. Jalen Rose with 12 on 5 of 12 shooting. Juwan Howard, 3 of 8, 7 points. Ray Jackson, 6 points. Rob Pelinka with 6, and Eric Riley had a pair. It all adds up to 77-71 as the Tar Heels win the national championship, and how sweet it is. When we come back, we'll go live to Franklin Street again. We've got reporters standing by at multiple locations. We'll let you hear what downtown Chapel Hill feels like, and we'll have player and coaches commentary with a final score from the Superdome: Carolina 77, Michigan 71. The all-tournament team is out, and here it is. After Carolina's 77-71 victory in the national title game, Chris Webber, Eric Montross, Donald Williams, George Lynch, and Jamal Mashburn make up the team, and the most outstanding player is Donald Williams. We have Sabrina Smith somewhere on Franklin Street. I have no idea where she is, and Sabrina might even have trouble locating her own venue right now, because I'm sure it's a massive humanity, isn't it, Sabrina?
It is a massive humanity, Mick, and I found myself a high spot alongside the street, about adjacent to Carolina Pride with the rest of our CHL crews. And I would guess that there's probably about 20,000 people out here right now, and they have overtaken the street. I'm looking across at some of the stores are already selling T-shirts. They've got a bonfire bigger than ever burning in the middle of the street. They've sacrificed a sofa in the bonfire. We saw them pass it right down the crowd like an assembly line, and they're waving a banner, and you might be able to appreciate this, Mick. It says, "Dick Vitale, you picked the wrong one, baby, tonight."
Oh, man. Well, and the weather's bad, too, in Chapel Hill, isn't it, Sabrina?
It is frigid here, Mick. I guess it's probably about 34 degrees. The rain is falling, but that's not dampening the spirits, as I'm sure you can tell.
It sounds wild. It reminds me of when I was a student at Carolina, and Carolina played for the national championship in '77, and there's still a little bit of blue paint. If you know where to look, you can still find some light blue paint in the right places on Franklin Street from that celebration, and there's a brand new one going tonight. Woody Durham is out courtside right now, and he's in the neighborhood of a commentator who called the action on CBS television, former Wake Forest guard Billy Packer. Woody?
Billy Packer was the analyst tonight for CBS television. He was here in 1982 when Coach Smith's other team won the championship. Billy, what did you think of this championship game?
Well, Woody, we have a thing called the Sky Cam that's up at the top of this arena and looks down onto the team, a technical deal. I want to know from Coach Smith what it is that he has on the top of this arena to put some weird thoughts in the mind of the opponent, because everybody remembers the Freddie Brown play and then Chris Webber tonight, another play similar. Now, it's not to say that North Carolina probably was in a good position to win the game anyway, but certainly that sealed it.
Yeah, it sure did, and it was interesting to watch the ebb and flow of this thing. Carolina early advantage. Michigan then with that barrage of threes takes a 10-point lead. And as we've seen so often, and you saw them too, not a lot of poise or panic despite the magnitude of this game at that stage.
On either club's part, and I really think that both coaches decided that they didn't want to get in a situation where they were worn down. So I think they really played the first 30 minutes of this game to get to that last 5. And what I thought was interesting are some of those lineups that were on the floor in what seemed to be very critical situations. I'm sure the Carolina fans are going to say, what does Packer know about the game compared to Dean Smith? The answer is very little.
And Winstrom going in and posting up.
Exactly. And I'm sitting there, and matter of fact, one time I said, man, this team on the floor is a weird team in this situation. And so to make me feel a little better, when I mentioned to Coach Smith after the game, he said, yeah, I looked out there and I was wondering too. So, but it's a great night for North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, the university. And of course, I kidded Mike Krzyzewski. I said, you guys need to go ahead and establish a point somewhere in between the center of both schools and develop that as a place where all the trophies are kept, because this is really something to think that it's within 8 miles of each other 3 years in a row now.
And Billy, it's unfortunate that even in the celebration of one team winning, as Carolina did tonight, Michigan will now have to face that. You were there 2 years in a row and you couldn't get it done.
Yeah, you know, and that is really a sad commentary on all of us in the press that ever utter those kind of statements, is that you can't win the big one. I mean, it's something that annoys me more than anything I know of in sports, because just to accomplish what they have, which is unprecedented in the history of college basketball, back-to-back as freshmen and sophomores, shouldn't make them a loser in anybody's mind.
Exactly. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Woody.
Okay, Billy Packer, the analyst for CBS Television and a guy who puts a lot of things together as far as the Tar Heels are as far as college basketball is concerned. And we've got some celebrating going on off the court down here between Scott Montross, his daughter Christine, who is a freshman at the University of Michigan, and Eric Montross. And Eric saying yesterday that his dad was the biggest influence on him in his life. Eric, we were really not supposed to talk to you, but give me a quick word. We'll listen for you in the media room.
It's unbelievable, and we'll let you know all about it. It's the best feeling in the world. Everybody back home on Franklin Street, whoop it up and get ready. We're coming home for you.
Okay, that's Eric Montross, Mick. We'll get ready to go to the media room shortly.
All right, Woody, it sounds good. And the Michigan Wolverines have made their way in there. Steve Fisher will be the first to take the podium, and then there'll be some questions for players, and Carolina will follow. So just be patient. You'll hear all of the Tar Heel sound, but first, the losing team goes first. The final score here tonight, 77-71, Carolina. And here's Steve Fisher in the media room.
A loss for words. They played a terrific game. They're a great team. Our Michigan ball club, I also fought gallantly, and we also have a terrific team. Unfortunately, we're up first, and I could not be more proud of two individuals or a team than I am of this group. It hurts when you don't get the ultimate goal, but we'll move on. We'll be better people as a result of it, and I think all of Michigan has taken great pride in how we have represented our school, ourselves, and our state.
Okay, let's take our questions for our players. We'll excuse our players when we're done questioning them, and then take a question for Coach Fisher. Right down here in front, microphone number 1.
Chris, when you called that timeout, right after that, you looked right at your teammates on the bench. Was anyone telling you to call the timeout, or did you hear the call a timeout at that point? It seemed like you looked a little confused when you looked at the guys on the bench.
I don't remember. Just called the timeout. We didn't have one. That probably cost us the game.
Question on mic number 2 in front.
Chris, did you know on your last timeout, did your team go over that you didn't have any more timeouts left, or was it just something in the...
If I would have known we didn't have any timeouts left, I wouldn't have called a timeout. So, like I said, obviously I didn't know, and that probably cost our team the game. Whether I heard voices or not, that doesn't matter. I called a timeout when we didn't have one.
Got a question on the left in the rear of the room. Microphone number 4.
Chris, not to belabor the point, but what was going through your mind when it happened?
It was 20 seconds left, and I started dribbling the ball. Went down by 2. Get it on our side of the court. I picked up my dribble. I called the timeout. That was, whatever I did, that's what was going through my head. And it probably cost our team the game.
Question on mic number 1.
Chris, did you have any help, and was Jalen or another guard there available, or did you just feel that because of the time that you needed to get it across half court as soon as possible?
Truthfully, I really don't remember all the situations. All I know is that obviously I don't think I saw anybody that was open. And the count was on. I just did not know we had a timeout. If it was someone else to pass it to, I would have passed it to them. I don't remember. Maybe someone was open. I don't know.
Is there a question on the front row right here? Mic number 2.
What was said at the last timeout, Coach Fisher, as far as were the players instructed you were out of timeout?
Are we done with the players?
Well, go ahead. I have a question for Howard. I think you had to call a timeout with 15-16 when you couldn't get the ball in. I was wondering if you could just tell me what happened on that play. I think just Jalen was down there. Was someone else supposed to come back and help, or?
Well, North Carolina put pressure on Jalen. There was 2 guys guarding him, and Jimmy was, on his way, helping out as I was trying to take the ball out, and the referee had a 4 count, and I just quickly called a timeout, so we won't get no turnover. But the help was available, but it just, it just came in a little later time.
Let's go to this question on mic number 4.
Juwan, can you express the frustration at this point in time that you are feeling individually, your team is feeling 2 years in a row to get this far and not come away with it?
Well, we're not frustrated. For one thing, we should be proud and we should be happy, and I know we are, of a great season we had. Our team have been through a long road. We have been through some great times, and we had some great wins, and we should hold our heads up proud, and that's what we are. Even though it's our second run to the title, and we have lost both of them, but we have 2 years left, and we're not going to give up. And like I said before, it was a great season. I'm just happy to be a part to play in this program, and I'm happy to be right beside, Chris Webber right here, because, I think he's one of the greatest ball players in the country.
It's the Michigan press conference in the media room.
Question on the second row, microphone number 1.
This is about ready to end, and when it does, the Tar Heels will be taking the podium. So we're going to now join the Tar Heel head coach, Dean Smith.
In many ways, they missed a couple of easy ones inside, and we'd come down and maybe get something going, but the final score stands, and we do congratulate Michigan on a tremendous effort. Even if that timeout hadn't occurred, I think we had Weber in a pretty good situation and the double team. And then, of course, he might have walked in front of our bench. So if that called, then it would still been our ball. But it did make it a little easier when Donald stroked the foul shots. There's so many great plays down the line. George Lynch's basket. We seemed to die out there. It was a funny thing. And our main goal, I got my sheet right here, was, of course, limiting the second shots, but to run them. We were going to sprint out, go to offense,
and wear them down. I looked out there, and we looked like we were worn down. So I know we're in shape, so maybe we had too much nervous energy. But these young people on my left, Derek Phelps, a courageous, great player. I think that's obvious the way he came up with steals, getting people the ball, and the great defense. And, of course, I can't begin to say enough about George Lynch. I won't even begin to try. I've already said this before because I don't want to choke up that he's just one of the greatest young men I've ever known and one of the greatest players we've had at Carolina. But he surely had help from his friends. Seniors, Matt Winstrom, to me, is I admire him as much as any young man to have the attitude he has without the playing time. He's a natural leader, and will go on and play professional basketball somewhere, I know. And then Scott Cherry just has a tremendous attitude. Henry Kroll is a mostly underrated player. Billy Packer mentioned what a great game Rodel had, and I agreed immediately. And 2 of his shots had gone in. They're just a little short. He'd be maybe in this room. And, of course, Travis Stevenson walked on. So we'll miss all of them.
Okay, let's take care of our questions for the players. First one is on mic number 1 right here in front.
Chris Webber, right after he called the timeout, he looked at his bench as if he had heard voices, as if he had heard someone telling him to call a timeout. Did you guys, when you went down and trapped him or were on that side of the floor, did you hear anyone from the Michigan bench yelling at him to call a timeout?
Who would you like to answer that?
Well, actually, I wasn't quite sure who was at that end of the floor.
Would anybody hear anything?
Well, it sounded like the whole bench was saying, call a timeout, call a timeout. I think everybody in the stands was calling a timeout, too, so it came pretty much from everywhere at that point.
Let's go to the question back here on mic number 4.
Yeah, first of all, Coach Smith and players, congratulations. Donald, congratulations. I see you're the MVP of the tournament. I was wondering your thoughts on how you were able to get so many good looks at the basket and good shots against Michigan, and your general thoughts about the Michigan team.
Well, of course, Michigan's an excellent team, or else they wouldn't be here. And I think the beginning of the game, I was a little nervous, and I got a little tired quick. So I really want moving without the ball quickly. So coaches took me out, and they talked to me and told me to really move quickly without the ball, because the first shot I hit really wasn't a good shot for us. So they told me to continue to move quick without the ball, and they'll continue to set screens and free me. So that's what I started doing.
Let's go to a question on mic number 2.
Coach Smith, would you talk about Donald's run the last 4 games, beginning in the regional and Meadowlands?
We're going to let Coach Smith answer questions after the players leave. Question on mic number 4. Okay.
What? All right, I'll try to remember it.
Question right here on mic number 1.
Derek, when you switched to the zone, did it take them out of their game? That it seemed that it kind of befuddled them for a period of time. They don't have much of an outside game, apparently.
When we went into the zone, I guess, they were kind of impatient. I think they wanted to get the ball inside the Weber, and I think our inside play did a great job, holding them inside and making sure they didn't get good looks at the basket. But, they was kind of impatient, and I think they wanted to get, they wanted to rush shots a little bit. So I guess the zone took them out their game, and I think they wanted us to play more of a man-to-man to get the game more of their style of their game.
Let's go to a question on mic number 3 here.
George, you've got the net around your neck. That means you won this thing. Can you just sum up? What's it feel like?
Well, it was a great effort from the coaching staff that, pushed us all year long. It was a great effort from the underclassmen, which, was a great supporting class for us. And the seniors, we just stuck in there together as a group, and, everyone loved each other as a team, and, no one really cared who got the credit, and I think that, makes a good team.
Question on mic number 4 in the back.
First, if Donald first could talk about stealing what looked like an entry pass from Rose, or maybe it slipped out of his hand in the lane with 1:20 left in the game. And then if George could describe his 6-foot turnaround that put UNC ahead 70-67.
I think we was in the zone at the time, and he tried to penetrate in the zone. It seemed like he was going up for the shot and got caught up in the air. And I guess he seen somebody breaking, and he tried to pass it. And I think somebody got a deflection, and I was just first to the ball.
Well, my shot, I was looking for the open man that would come in to trap the whole entire game. And actually, I was looking for Donald O'Brien because their man was helping a lot. And when I turned, it was pretty much just a one-on-one situation with the guy who was trying to trap me. And, I got the shot up over his outstretched hands, and it went in.
Let's go over here to mic number 2.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Donald, who was selected as the MVP. Donald, would you like to comment on the performance of Chris Webber? 23 points, but 11 rebounds.
Well, Chris Webber was a great player, and we knew we had to do a good job on him trying to deny him the ball. And when he do get the ball, really try to jam him and make him get rid of it. But, he's a tough player, a great offensive rebound, and he played good tonight.
Let's go to 2 questions on mic number 2 right over here.
George, the play when Michigan had called its first timeout, I think you were involved in double team on the inbounds pass. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Was that is that an automatic call, or what preceded that?
Well, we knew that they didn't have much time on the clock, and we didn't want them to get a good shot at the basket, so we wanted to trap and make them, take a quicker shot than what they're usually taking, which is a very fast shot if they take it. But he felt the pressure, and he felt that he needed to call timeout with everyone calling timeout behind him in the background. I think he was put under a lot of pressure.
I'm sorry, I was referring to a play fairly early in the game, in the second half, when you
and Derek were 24.
When
you jumped on Rose and Howard had to call timeout before.
When they were playing their zone pressure, offense press over, which usually we have someone down prepared, for the traps. They didn't have anyone, coming back to help Jalen bring the ball up the court. And I told Derek, I said, get in front of him. I got behind him, and Derek did a great job of denying him. Usually they like to lob the pass, and they weren't prepared to help him out.
Okay, right over here.
For Donald, one question for George, the other. Donald, can you talk about the 9-0 run you guys made to go from 4 down to 5 up, and with about the 3-point shot you hit to start? And George, can you talk about what happened after you got the 5-point lead? What caused them to come back that way?
Well, I think basketball is a game of runs, and we knew we were playing good offensively, so we kept telling each other to really concentrate on stopping them on the defensive end, and I think during that run, that's what we were doing.
I'm not too clear on the question yet.
You guys were up by 5 with a minute to go after Montrose's dunk. They made the run that led to the last timeout being called. What happened to you guys during that stretch?
Well, we knew that we wanted to tell each other that don't celebrate too early, and I think that guys knew exactly what happened in Hawaii. How they competed hard and came back and hit the last second shot. We pretty much wanted to make them foul us and put us on the line. I think each one of our players was prepared, but we wanted to have the ball in Donald's hand at all times because he was a better free throw shooter percentage-wise.
Let's take 4 more questions for the players. First one is on mic number 4 in the rear of the room.
Donald, I wonder if you could describe your 3 with about 4 minutes to go, what the play was, how you ended up open.
Well, we was just really trying to move the ball and kill some time. And
44 sideline?
No, it was just 1.
Okay.
And we was just moving without the ball quickly, making them work defensively, and I was just moving really quickly without the ball, and somebody found me across court on a cross-court pass, and I was open.
This question right here.
Donald, you scored 12 of your points in the final 7:37. Did you feel when they were ahead 60-58 that you personally were going to have to step up and do something, or did it just work out that way that you got the shots?
No, not really. We just I think a great team offensively, and I was just trying to to take myself out of the game when I was tired and keep fresh when I come back in. And I think that's why I was coming out and coming back in, and during that stretch I came back in fresh, and that really helped me.
Last 2 questions. This first one is for this gentleman right here on the front row. He's been trying to get a question in, and our last one will be in the back of the room.
Donald, can you talk about your shooting in the last 2 games?
Well, it's just I think last 2 days I just felt really good and confident shooting the basketball. I think that my teammates did a great job of screening for me and really giving me the basketball. So, it's just an exciting time for me, and I was just out there having fun.
Back of the room, mic number 4.
Donald, I'd like you to explain how does it feel to win
the most valuable play and perhaps your biggest game of your life?
Well, really, it feels great, obviously, but now I don't really know how to add. It'll just hit me tomorrow. But, you know, I couldn't have did it by myself. I think I have a great team, and they did a great job out there tonight, so I can't take all the credit. I have a great team.
Okay, we're going to excuse the players back to their dressing room. You can catch up with them in there. We're going to open up the floor for questions for Coach Smith.
One thing I wanted to add on that, you know, that we only had 3 team fouls, and we were going to foul. If he hadn't taken time out, all we had to do was keep fouling, and it would have been hard. I guess I'm dwelling on something that I don't think that timeout necessarily won the game for North Carolina or lost it for Michigan, in my opinion. Everybody has their own. And I was supposed to file that about Donald, wasn't I? You guys are excused. I was supposed to file that question about Donald's run in this last 4 games has been outstanding, but like he just told you, it isn't something we say, all right, let's get the ball to Donald. We're trying to go inside where we have a higher percent. Donald's, 39% from the floor, a three-point line, 45. But when he's on a streak, we screen for him and look for him. We believe in getting it to the hot man. But in the Arkansas game was perhaps, in fact, if the Cincinnati game didn't go to overtime, he felt he didn't have a good shooting game. But I'm impressed with him. My gosh, he hasn't done that, what he's done here. Maybe 1 practice or 2, but he was in a different zone. Because I thought he was going to make it every time he went up. And I think the other team did.
Let's go to this question on mic number 2.
I was just curious what your thoughts are for you personally. I mean, you often talk about your team and you spread credit around. How satisfying is this for you personally to get a second national championship finally after all these years and all these trips to the tournament?
You know, I thought I handled that yesterday pretty much. I want it for this team and our staff. Phil Ford, I couldn't even see it. We didn't go on and score. He was already jumping me. And I couldn't see when they threw it away. We could have gone down and scored those last 2 points. But, no, it's obviously something coaches and coaching staffs want to. We set out every year to win the national championship. And I'm pleased that we've been a national contender every year for a number of years. And it is exciting to walk out there and say, hey, it's over. We won it. We may not be the best team, but we're the NCAA champion.
Let's go to this question on mic number 4 here.
In the 2 championship games that you've won, you've had 2 pretty bizarre plays happen at the end with Worthy and now the Weber timeout.
Where is this coming from?
Right over here, Coach. Yeah. Can you just reflect a little bit on the irony of that you had 2 plays in the final seconds happen like that?
Well, you know, neither one necessarily meant we wouldn't win. I thought it answered that. And Freddie Brown throwing it away, it'd probably been better if he'd thrown it to Sleepy in the corner, Sleepy Floyd a shot and missed, and we'd gotten a rebound, and then we wouldn't have those kind of questions. It's all part of the game. We had some plays early in the game that's rather ironic. You know, how a guy can fall down and make a basket. It's all part of the game, and we've never said, I often said you have to be lucky and good, and I thought Michigan and North Carolina were 2 of the best teams in the country. I'm not saying we're the best, but nobody said that's why we have this tournament. Otherwise, we'd have 4 out of 7.
Go to the question on mic number 3 here.
Coach Eric Montrose just said in the locker room a few minutes ago.
Montrose, please.
Montrose, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to get it across. We have the national media here, and Mr. Montrose said
that you might consider moving to New Orleans now that from the success you've had here. Would you just talk about New Orleans?
It obviously has no bearing on the outcome of a game where it's being played, at least in my mind. It was this group of athletes that played very hard together, and we've been playing in Minneapolis or in Indianapolis or somewhere else. It could have been the same, maybe not in Detroit, but it could have been the same thing. So I don't think that has a bearing, although we'll have fond memories of New Orleans.
Okay, this question right here on mic number 1.
Dina, how did you celebrate your first national championship here, and how will you celebrate tonight?
Actually, that didn't have a lot of bearing, but we had a group of friends over. I was at the St. Louis Hotel last time, and my former coach, Bob Spear, at the Air Force Academy, and Frank McGuire, my former coach, whom I assisted, were all there, and we stayed up to 2:30 or 3 and went out to get a late flight, and I was bumped. I couldn't get it. The plane was full, so we went back and went to bed and got up about 6 a.m., but so this time I was smarter. I got another plans. This time I have my family. You get older, you get grandchildren. You know, my grandchildren aren't here, but we get more people be up to the room, and I hope we have the players won't eat all the pizza. We'll get something, or we'll get room service.
Let's go to a question on mic number 2.
I won't be down at Bourbon Street. No. Not that I'm against. Yeah, I've been to New Orleans many times, but
Coach, Coach Smith, could you talk about the zone or zones you used, specifically why you went to them, and then talk about their effectiveness?
What we tried to do against Michigan in Honolulu was, I thought Rose is so hard to do our doubles on. I was glad we got that early one, but we zoned them. We wanted to throw out about 2 zones out of every 10 plays. And then when they insisted on going to Webster, I do know his name, Chris Webber. When they insisted on going to him, we really had to just give him anything. And King made a couple, and he got tired, missed one, and shot an air ball. And I'm sure it was his legs. But King and Rose are great guards. I'm really impressed with them.
Let's go to a question on mic number 4.
Coach Smith, right here. A couple of quick questions. One, if you could comment a little bit further on the Michigan team, what you like about them and the potential that they might have if they stick together. And secondly, I was wondering if it bothers you that people might question whether or not you lucked up on 2 national championships with the plays near the end of the game.
No, it says NCAA champions. You can say, I said lucky. Gosh, I think I would detract from 2 great teams, but it doesn't bother me. And you're from Detroit and from Michigan, and I think they're a great team, and I don't think the coach gets near the credits to Coach Steve Fisher that he deserves. He really had his team prepared, and then they would make adjustments, and we'd have to counter, and this was not a coaching victory. This is a victory of North Carolina players over the Michigan players.
Question right here on mic number 1.
Yes. Could you talk about, I'm sure you've heard over the years the talk about, not winning the national championship and only winning one. Does this get a monkey off your back, or does it?
They said that last time, didn't they? I guess that's a nice problem to have, isn't it? I didn't win it. This team won it, and we avoided injury pretty much, except Phelps in the ACC tournament. You go back to many years, we were a very good team, and we had key injuries. But that doesn't bother. I'm happy. You don't bother me at all. You can say it's lucky, yes. Fortunate, yes. It still says we're NCAA champs.
Let's go to Bob Hamill's question on mic number 2.
Bob, go ahead.
Dino, over here. The dunk by Montross at the end of the.
I thought, Bob, that was special. It wasn't anything we were necessarily going to try. We said take a look long if we could get it, because we would have to turn the ball back to them. And, of course, with the 3 fouls, team fouls, we knew we could use those, and that would maybe take up 10 seconds. So that was, I think that Lynch's shot, well, everything, back to the question. You can't say one play wins a game. There's just so many of them out there. But Montross's dunk off a great pass, I think it was Lynch, wasn't it, was probably the big one.
Our last question will be from Bob Hurt.
And they're just now saying last question, so let's get it.
I just wanted you to talk a little bit about defense and things that we might not have noted that you felt people contributed great.
Well, I'm glad you did, Bob, because Derek Phelps just did a tremendous job at the defensive end of the court. Maybe that's why he was coming in here. Coming up, you have to see him. I can't believe he didn't win the defense award winner by the national coaches, but I don't think the national coaches vote on it. We need a committee that will look at tape and everybody send their best tape, and maybe old coaches. I might be a chairman sometime, I'm retired, and look at that. And Mr. Iba would have been a great one to do it if he had lived, to really select a very worthy recipient through many tapes. But
that Phelps was sensational. I thought our defense was active, and I thought Michigan did a great job defensively. But neither team, you don't get this far if you don't play defense.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
That's Coach Dean Smith in the media room concluding the media session. And quite honestly, Mick, I thought it was about time to get out of it when the questions persisted about being lucky in the two championship games. But Coach Smith handled all that well. And then, by golly, if he didn't get a question about having the monkey off his back, winning a second national championship after the one here 11 years ago. So we ran the gamut on the questions in the media room, but I'm sure everybody is delighted that we stayed with it until the end because everybody feels special not only for this team, but for that gentleman.
No doubt about it, and it's an issue of self-perception or selective perception, I guess. People sometimes see what they want to see, not what is there. Well, the Tar Heels will return home. By the way, Woody, while you're still on the mic, this is the second one of these you've seen. Any final thoughts from you before we wind up a basketball broadcast season that's seen us go to several countries and have an awful lot of fun covering this unique team?
Mick, this basketball team winds up, I believe, 34-4. That's more wins than a Carolina basketball team has ever put together in a single season. It played longer into the season than any other team, with the NCAA championship, of course, being held here in the first weekend in April down in New Orleans. And it seems this will sort of be our format for some of the years to come. I know next year in Charlotte will also be the first weekend in April, and we can already begin to look forward to that. But I think the one thing, Mick, and we talked about it during several of our broadcasts as the year progressed, this team's amazing chemistry. This is not to say that other teams didn't have it. They did, but in the midst of the Carolina basketball program, those who think that these players are robots and that this program is so structured that there's no flexibility in it, there is. Each team has its own personality. The personality of the players develop as you watch them develop, and this team had outstanding chemistry. Every player on this team liked his teammates. There were no cliques or anything like that. These guys got along well. They hung together off the court just like they did on the court. But, Mick, we saw what we have seen on several occasions this year tonight during this game when Carolina fell behind by 10 in the first half, the tremendous poise of this team, even when it was down 4 points in the late stages at 67-63. And that's what won, I think, for this team. Its experience, its talent, and its calm under pressure, so to speak.
I think so too, Woody. That's well said. I first kind of took notice of this team and how unique it was when Carolina beat what I thought was a very good Texas basketball team with that backcourt of Rensher and Tyler, 104-68, the third regular season game of the year in the Diet Pepsi Tournament of Champions, and then the Ohio State game, 84-64, against a pretty good Ohio State team. And the Tar Heels did not disappoint, and they'll have their chance to thank you for your support tomorrow at 5 o'clock at Kenan Stadium. If you're coming in from out of town, or if you're listening locally in Chapel Hill, and if the weather is real bad, listen to 1360 CHL, our flagship station, for a possible rain location if it is raining. If not, just go on to Kenan Stadium. A couple of other interesting things real quickly from the stat sheet. Carolina got out-rebounded 33-29, and Michigan turned it over 14 times to 10 officially for Carolina. And in the all-tournament team, Chris Webber of Michigan, Eric Montross of Carolina, Donald Williams of Carolina, George Lynch of the Heels, Jamal Mashburn of Kentucky made it on, and the most outstanding player, Donald Williams of Carolina, as he finishes the national championship day shooting 8 of 12, an unreal 5 of 7 from three-point range, 25 points, and as we talked about earlier, a very big 4 of 4 from the free throw line with a nation of basketball fans looking on, and the game still losable. Donald Williams swished all 4.
Make a couple of quick comments there. That's only the 5th time that Carolina got out-rebounded on the stat sheet all year, and I believe tonight's game marked the 17th consecutive game that a Carolina opponent shot less than 50%.
Yeah, defense is what wins it, Woody, as Coach Smith pointed out. All right, well, we certainly enjoyed it, and the Carolina Telephone Yellow Pages congratulates tonight's Carolina assist error leader. And, Woody, what was the word, if there was one, from the Tar Heel sideline and from Sam Rogers on who the Carolina assist error leader was? Well, we understand now that as far as the assist total is concerned, Derek Phelps was the high man with 6. However, he had 5 turnovers. The official stats also show Salvadori and Sullivan with 1 assist and no turnovers. It's tough not to turn the ball over against the Michigan Wolverines because of how quick their hands are. So Brian Reese with 3 assists and 2 turnovers, and we'll see who the Carolina coaches want to give the Carolina Telephone Yellow Pages Assist Error Leader Award to. Carolina Telephone makes a donation, and they have done this all year, to the General Scholarship Fund at UNC in the name of the player who at the end of every game is designated by the Tar Heel coaches as the Assist Error Leader. So congratulations to all the Tar Heels for their national championship, won here in New Orleans, and the Carolina Telephone people support the Tar Heels not only in the court or on the court, but also on the classroom as well. Derek Phelps, we now know as the Assist Error Leader, 8 assists and only 3 errors, the way the Tar Heel coaches keep it. As we close tonight, no songs or poems. If you follow Carolina, the emotion of tonight is self-evident, and you know what all of this means to the program. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, 5 p.m. at Kenan Stadium, as the celebration is just now beginning. In the hearts and minds of Tar Heel fans everywhere, Carolina wins it over a very fine Michigan ball club by 6 in New Orleans. And Tar Heel Sports Network games have been a Village Sports production this year, produced through the studios of WCHL Radio, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The list of people to thank is way too long, but it includes executive producer Jim Hebner, general manager Bill Whitley, sales manager Sharon Gupton, operations manager Happy Drinkwalter, and chief engineer Paul Boone, studio engineer Don Mertz, production coordinator Mike Waddell, traffic coordinator Millie Pridgeon, statman Bob Woodruff, production Trojans at the Pigskin Classic in Anaheim, California. Tonight's final score in the national final game was Carolina 77 and Michigan 71. A Superdome crowd of 64,151 paid to see it, and you heard it all on the Tar Heel Sports Network.
Tar Heel basketball on Magic 96 has been brought to you in part by Home Quarters, Food Lion, McCloskey Perfect Finish, your local Carrier dealer, Ross & Whitmer, All-Temp, Gastonia Sheet Metal, and More Air Conditioning, and the law firm of Olive Manette. Follow the Tar Heels all season long on Magic 96, your home for good times, great oldies, and Carolina basketball.
Good times, great oldies, Magic 96.
My God.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? And ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Guess I'm gone.